Chapter 2483. Lord Demon Master, please forgive me. The arrogant and despotic Six Elements Demon King was now lying on the ground like a dog wagging its tail. The Northern Heavens Devil King and the experts of the Devil Clan under his command were all shocked, but they were also incomparably happy and elated. Northern Heavens Demon King, let's go. Su Fong ignored Six Elements Demon King and flew towards the array gate of the hidden evil demon world. The Northern Heavens Demon King glanced at Six Elements Demon King and smiled proudly. He quickly flew forward to lead the way for Su Fong. Carefree Demon Master, I'll make you wish you were dead. Devil flames burned in Six Elements Demon King's eyes. They were filled with anger, hatred, and endless humiliation. Su Fong entered the array gate and was enveloped by a distorted divine aura. When everything returned to normal, he arrived at a world filled with monstrous devil aura. The sky was covered by a layer of bloody light. The earth, mountains, and forests were all black. The aura of the entire devil world was not only evil and violent, but also filled with the aura of life. This world was the devil world that Devil Saint Fu Sha had created with his divine ability. The Northern Heavens Demon King said, Lord Carefree Demon Master, please follow me to the Devil Saint Hall to meet Lord Demon Saint. Su Fong asked, Lord Demon Saint is in the Devil Saint Hall? The entire hidden evil demon world is Lord Demon Saint's world. Lord Demon Saint's will is the will of the heavens. As long as Lord Demon Saint merges with the hidden evil demon world, the hidden evil demon world will become Lord Demon Saint's world. I understand. Ordinary master gods could create worlds for gods to live in and cultivate in. However, these worlds were dead and had to constantly absorb the world's aura from nature. Otherwise, the world's spirit energy would slowly dry up. However, venerable emperors were different. The worlds they created had their own heavenly laws. Although they could not surpass heaven and earth, they were independent worlds. Furthermore, venerable emperors could merge their worlds with a world in their bodies. This was the strength of a supreme, venerable emperor. The Northern Heavens Devil King continued, Lord Devil Saint Fuming Evil's true body has been going out a lot lately. It's obvious that he's preparing to deal the final blow to the human cultivators. He wants to break through the sky curtain and destroy the sky beacon god realm in one fell swoop. It wasn't a secret that the Tao Defiance were preparing to launch their final attack. However, no one knew why the Tao Defiance were so confident that they could even break through the sky curtain created by Transcendence. Su Fong probed further. I heard that Lord Devil Saint participated in the killing of a human, Su Fong, and he made great contributions to the Tao Defiance Alliance. So, the Alliance Master definitely rewarded you heavily, right? The news of Su Fong's death was widely publicized by the Tao Defiance. They claimed that Su Fong had been killed by Demon Saint Fu Sha and other venerable sovereigns, and the demon race of Fu Sha Demon World was proud of it. Now that Su Fong mentioned it, the Northern Heavens Devil King beamed with joy. Of course, I heard that Su Fong possessed the strength of a venerable sovereign and the origin sacred mirror. However, how could he be a match for Lord Devil Saint? After bragging for a long time, the Northern Heavens Devil King finally said, because he made great contributions by killing Su Fong, the Alliance Master bestowed one of Su Fong's peerless treasures to my master, Devil Saint Fu Sha. Su Fong's deep eyes flashed. What kind of treasure is that? It's a supreme nascent divinity treasure of the demon race, the ancestral devil blood plate. The ancestral devil blood plate. Su Fong was surprised. He didn't expect the ancestral devil blood plate to fall into the hands of Devil Saint Fu Sha. It seemed that coming to the devil world of Fu Sha was the right choice. Then he asked in surprise, according to what I know, Su Fong has many treasures that surpass the ancestral devil blood plate. Why did Lord Devil Saint only obtain the ancestral devil blood plate? Although the ancestral devil blood plate is extraordinary, many Devil Saint experts of the devil race have one. It's not a unique and powerful treasure. The Northern Heavens Devil King said, You don't know this. I heard that the two great heaven law divine artifacts, the Heavens Supervisor token, the Prison Suppressing Codex, and the Universe Chariot were all taken by Lord Alliance Master. The Ancestral Devil Blood Plate is the only treasure that Lord Alliance Master bestowed to the other venerable sovereigns of the Tao Defiance. Su Fong sneered in his heart. After he came back from the dead and killed the venerable sovereigns of the Tao Defiance, the Universe Chariot had already fallen into his hands. Moreover, Lord Alliance Master personally asked for 10 drops of blood essence from Lord Devil Ancestor to increase the power of the Ancestral Devil Blood Plate. During this period of time, the top 6 Devil Kings under Lord Devil Saint are all in the depths of the Devil Saint Mountain and are taking turns to inject Devil Chi into the Ancestral Devil Blood Plate. When the Ancestral Devil Blood Plate's power increases again, it will become the #1 nascent soul-type treasure in the myriad of worlds. The Northern Heavens Devil King's words shocked and stunned Su Fong. The #1 nascent soul-type treasure in the myriad of worlds? Soon after, his heart burned with passion. This time, I have come to Devil Saint Fu Sha. No matter what, I must get the Ancestral Devil Blood Plate. Devil Saint Fu Sha, I really don't know how to thank you. While Su Fong was conversing with the Northern Heavens Devil King, they arrived at a majestic black mountain in the depths of the Fu Sha Devil World. The Northern Heavens Devil King brought Su Fong into a majestic palace at the peak of the mountain. Inside the palace, a devil statue of Devil Saint Fu Sha was enshrined. The Northern Heavens Devil King knelt down respectfully before the devil statue. An aura of nothingness suddenly descended and fused with the devil statue. The devil statue instantly came to life and opened its eyes to look down at the Northern Heavens Devil King. Northern Heavens, what's the matter? The Northern Heavens Devil King trembled as he told the devil statue about Su Fong's willingness to submit and Su Fong's origins and strength. Unfettered Devil Master? Devil light flickered in the devil statue's eyes as if it could deduce Su Fong's past and present life, past and future. Su Fong hurriedly knelt down and bowed with a trembling appearance. This devil saint vaguely remembers your aura. You should be Man Tian, one of the brute devil ancestors, and not some unfettered devil master. Devil Saint Fu Sha was actually able to see through Su Fong and not some unfettered devil master with a single glance. However, it was difficult for him to see that this devil expert in front of him was actually Su Fong's transformation. It wasn't because the demon transformation technique was so powerful that even a devil saint expert couldn't see through it. Instead, it was because Su Fong's fate aura had transcended the heavens and earth. Even if he didn't use the life-shrinking technique, Devil Saint Fu Sha still couldn't see through it. After all, no matter how strong he was still far from transcending. Su Fong explained while trembling with fear. Lord Devil Saint's eyes are as sharp as torches. This one is Man Tian of the Brute Devil Clan. Because I offended the Blood Devil Clan in the past. Unexpectedly, Devil Saint Fu Sha interrupted him and said domineeringly, "No matter who you offended in the past, as long as you sincerely submit to this Devil Saint, even if an ancestor devil descends, he can't do anything to you." Su Fong pretended to be surprised and delighted. "Thank you, Lord Devil Saint. This subordinate is willing to submit to you and go through water and tread on fire for you. Very good. This Devil Saint shall confer you as the 13th Devil King under my command. When the Tao Defiance Alliance's battle to destroy the human cultivators is about to begin, this Devil Saint shall bestow you with eternal immortality if you can make a contribution in battle." When the devil statue nodded, a devil light imprint jumped out from its eyes and entered Su Fong's divine aperture through his glabella. It fused with his primordial spirit. Obviously, it was a devil technique used to control Su Fong. Just like that, Su Fong became the 13th Devil King under Devil Saint Fu Sha and stayed on the Devil Saint Mountain. In the devil world of Fu Sha, the status of a Devil King was extraordinary. As soon as Su Fong joined the devil world of Fu Sha, he stayed on the Devil Saint Mountain and obtained a huge devil palace. He had 100 devil race experts who were equivalent to Tao integration cultivators as guards, and more than a dozen beautiful human female cultivators as maids. The 13th Devil King, Devil Saint Fu Sha. You never dreamed that not only did I, Su Fong, come back from the dead, but I also came to your world. Su Fong smiled hideously from the depths of the Devil Palace's array formation. After staying in the devil world of Fu Sha, Su Fong began to think about how to get the Ancestor Devil Blood Plate. The Ancestor Devil Blood Plate's quality had been improved by Devil Saint Fu Sha and became a #1 primordial spirit magic treasure in the myriad of worlds. Su Fong had to get his hands on it no matter what. Even though Su Fong didn't fear Devil Saint Fu Sha now, he was still inside Devil Saint Fu Sha's world. Once Devil Saint Fu Sha was alarmed, the other Emperor Realm experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance, especially the Tao Defiance Alliance Master, who was infinitely close to transcending, would come for him. At that time, it would be slightly troublesome to escape. Moreover, Su Fong wanted to continue hiding in the Tao Defiance Alliance and take back the magic treasures like the Heaven Supervisor Token and Prison Suppressing Codex. At the same time, he wanted to see where the Tao Defiance Alliance got their confidence from actually plan to break through the Sky Curtain and destroy the Sky Beacon God world in one go. Even though the Tao Defiance Alliance had planted spies in the upper echelons of the Sky Beacon God world since a long time ago, these Tao Defiance, who weren't even at the Emperor Realm, couldn't break through the Sky Curtain that the Guardian had personally created even if they worked together from the inside. It was truly too difficult to take back the Ancestor Devil Blood Plate without alarming Devil Saint Fu Sha. Devil King Savage Heaven, I've arrived. Quickly come out and greet me. A furious roar resounded from outside the Devil Palace, causing the entire Devil Palace to tremble. The third-ranked Devil King, Blood Death Demon King, belongs to the Blood Devil clan of the Devil race. He's skilled in the most powerful blood curse divine ability of the Devil race. After being resurrected, the blood curse divine ability would become even more powerful and evil. He once used the blood curse divine ability to kill a human peak overgod expert. In the depths of the Devil Palace, Su Fong sensed the Devil God, who came with the 6 manifestations Devil King outside the palace, and information about this devil immediately appeared in his mind. Isn't this Blood Death Demon King in the depths of the Devil Saint Mountain, helping Devil Saint Fu Sha improve the quality of the Ancestor Devil Blood Plate? Why has he come out? He's just in time. If I want to get the Ancestor Devil Blood Plate, I'll have to rely on him. Su Fong revealed a sinister smile. With a thought, the barrier outside the Devil Palace automatically parted, and the palace doors opened wide. A devil god in a blood-red cloak strode into the Devil Palace accompanied by the 6 manifestations Devil King. Su Fong was already waiting on the throne in the main hall. He said indifferently, "Blood Death Demon King, why have you come to my Devil Palace instead of working for Master in the depths of the Devil Saint Mountain?" The Blood Death Demon King said coldly, "The matter of the Ancestor Devil Blood Plate is nearing its end. The 3 Devil Kings under Master can take turns to inject devil energy into the blood plate. I've come out of seclusion for you." The 6 manifestations Devil King shouted domineeringly, "Man Tion, the Blood Death Demon King has personally come. Let's see how arrogant you can be today." Su Fong activated the Devil Palace's formation and sealed off the main hall. Chapter 2484. Savage Heaven Demon King. I heard that your Yuan spirit is powerful enough to easily kill Lang Ao. You do have the qualifications to stand side by side with me. However, you shouldn't be so arrogant to humiliate the Demon King of 6 elements. Seeing that you are also a Demon King under my master, as long as you give me 10 drops of your heart's blood essence, I will not kill you today." The Blood Death Demon King said coldly. Although he was below the throne, he exuded a supreme, domineering aura, as if Su Fong's life and death were in his hands. The Demon King of 6 elements smiled sinisterly, looking at Su Fong as if he was looking at a dead man. Although the demon race's blood chi was boundless, the heart's blood essence was the condensation of life energy. Even if 10 drops of heart's blood essence couldn't kill the Savage Heaven Demon King, it would still greatly damage his vitality. So what if his Yuan spirit was powerful? The Blood Death Demon King was a blood demon. His Yuan spirit was fused with his flesh and blood, so he had a powerful defense against Yuan spirit attacks. Unless an Emperor Realm Master intervened, no one could suppress Blood Death. How could the savage Heaven Demon King possess the Yuan spirit of an Emperor Realm Master? The Demon King of 6 elements was even imagining the scene of the arrogant savage Heaven Demon King kneeling down and licking his boots. Su Fong looked at the 2 Demon Kings below indifferently, as if he was the embodiment of the heavenly Tao overlooking 2 ants. He said majestically, "Get out of my demon palace immediately, and I will spare your lives." As expected, you are arrogant enough. I'm not trash like Lang Ao. If I kill you, I will at most be reprimanded by my master. The blood chi and demon chi of a barbaric devil ancestor are incomparably boundless. If I devour you, I might be able to advance further. As he spoke, a blood-red light gushed out from the Blood Death Demon King, instantly turning into a sea of blood. Stepping on the rolling waves of blood, Blood Death charged towards Su Fong. I was just about to sneak into the depths of the Devil's Saint Mountain and take back my ancestral devil blood plate. With you 2 puppets, it will be much more convenient. Su Fong revealed a ferocious and domineering smile. Then, he activated the array formation around the main hall. The life-shrinking rune talisman, which had been lying in ambush in the array formation, was activated as well. The power of destiny instantly concealed the aura of the entire palace. Suppressing these 2 demon kings wasn't difficult. However, suppressing them without alerting Demon Sage Fu Sha was a little troublesome. After all, this was Demon Sage Fu Sha's world. Although it was impossible for him to constantly pay attention to what was happening in this world, the slightest commotion would still alert him. You want to fight me with the help of formation? My blood curse is a famous forbidden art of the demon race. Even if we are separated by many planes of space, I can still easily kill you with my curse, let alone a mere magic formation. The Blood Death Demon King snorted. The bloody light in his eyes surged, and a bloody light flashed and shot into Su Fong's body. No defense could stop it. In an instant, an evil energy that could make all creatures wither burst out from Su Fong's body in just a blink of an eye. Unexpectedly, as soon as the evil energy burst out, a mysterious aura gushed out from the depths of Su Fong's body, instantly sweeping away the evil energy. You want to suppress me with this little trick? Su Fong sneered disdainfully. With the supreme luck brought by the purple Chi Dharma spirit, he also had the ability to wipe out all evil curse techniques. Moreover, he also had the life-shrinking rune talisman and the true fire of Nine Yang. These were all supreme abilities that could restrain evil curse techniques. How could the Blood Death Demon King's curse technique hurt him? As expected of the ancient demon, you do have some tricks. However, if you think that this is all I have, then you are really laughable. The Blood Death Demon King snorted inexplicably. The world of bloody light extended out and enveloped Su Fong. A corrosive and withering power filled with the aura of death gushed out from the world towards Su Fong. Just an ant. Su Fong sneered disdainfully. The second primordial spirit shot out from his eyes. The primordial spirit's divine aura swept out in an instant. The Blood Death Demon King's world immediately turned from blood red to black. Under the primordial spirit's divine aura, the Blood Death Demon King's body trembled. The world suddenly collapsed. Ha! The black Xian Guang formed by the second primordial spirit broke through the limits of time and space. It hit the Blood Death Demon King's forehead and forcefully and overbearingly killed its way into the Blood Death Demon King's divine aperture. Seeing this scene, the 6 Elements Demon King wanted to escape. At this time, Su Fong's original body also used the Charm God Soul Absorption Seal. The primordial spirit's divine aura engulfed the 6 Elements Demon King. The 6 Elements Demon King was not even as good as Lang Ao. How could it resist Su Fong's powerful primordial spirit? In just 5 or 6 breaths, the 6 Elements Demon King's primordial spirit was forcibly swallowed by Su Fong. The Blood Death Demon King was slightly better than the Six Elements Demon King. He lasted for a dozen breaths before being possessed by Su Fong's second primordial spirit. Second primordial spirit, control the Blood Death Demon King and the Six Elements Demon King. Let the Blood Death Demon King return to the Devil's Saint Mountain and try to take back the ancestral Devil Blood Plate. It turned out that Su Fong planned to let the second primordial spirit possess the Blood Death Demon King and enter the Devil's Saint Mountain to take back the ancestral Devil Blood Plate. About half an hour later, the Blood Death Demon King and the Six Elements Demon King arrogantly walked out of the Devil Palace. Their complacent and arrogant laughter spread throughout the Fusha Devil world. Then, Su Fong announced that the Devil Palace would be closed for cultivation. The Devil Palace's guards speculated that the savage Heaven Demon King was humiliated by the two Demon Kings and was too ashamed to show his face. The news quickly spread. The savage Heaven Demon King, who had just submitted to the Fusha Devil Saint, became the laughingstock of the entire Fusha Devil world. The Northern Heavens Demon King, who had planned to rely on Su Fong's support, was also disappointed by Su Fongda. About half a month later, the Blood Death Demon King arrived at the huge Devil Palace at the peak of the Devil's Saint Mountain. Reaching the depths of the palace, the Blood Death Demon King was blocked by a stone wall engraved with demonic runes. The Blood Death Demon King dripped a drop of his demonic blood into the stone wall. The demonic runes burst out with a shocking demonic light, condensing into a ferocious mouth that bared its fangs. When he reappeared, the Blood Death Demon King had already arrived at an extraterritorial space-time in the depths of the Devil's Saint Mountain. QL11, Su Fong's main body was inside the Devil Palace. Borrowing the divine aura of the primordial spirit, he maintained a connection with the second primordial spirit and saw the entire process clearly. He focused his gaze. In the middle of the space where demonic chi was surging, there was 100 feet large devil pool. Fresh blood and demonic chi surged within the devil pool. It was unknown how many humans and big goblin were killed, and their blood was absorbed to create such a devil pool. Above the devil pool floated a blood plate. It was Su Fong's ancestral devil blood plate. As the blood plate buzzed and trembled, strands of blood continuously surged out from the devil pool below and were devoured by the ancestral devil blood plate. A demon god sat cross-legged beside the devil pool, releasing demonic chi from time to time into the ancestral devil blood plate. The arrival of the Blood Death Demon King alarmed the demon god, who asked in surprise, "Blood Death, isn't it your turn to rest? Why are you here again?" The Blood Death Demon King nodded and said, "The war is imminent, and it is time for the ancestral devil blood plate to play its role for Master. If we don't upgrade the ancestral devil blood plate as soon as possible, Master will definitely blame us. This time, I devoured 10 drops of heart blood from a blind brute devil outside, and have recovered most of my previous consumption. Dark Flame Demon King, you should go and recover. Leave this place to me." The demon god called Dark Flame Demon King stuck out his lizard-like tongue and licked his lips, his eyes filled with greed. "Brute devil? The blood of a brute devil is boundless. 10 drops of heart blood is enough for you to recover. Blood Death, your luck is really good." Then, he added, "The ancestral devil blood plate has already fused with the ancestral devil's blood essence. Next, it just needs to continue devouring the blood of humans and big goblin, and keep injecting demonic chi into it. It's very easy. Then, I will leave this place to you. I should also go out and take a breather." The Dark Flame Demon King stood up, stepped into a demonic formation beside the blood pool, and left through the formation. Blood Death looked at the ancestral devil blood plate and grinned, revealing a sinister smile. "Ancestral devil blood plate, you are finally going to return to me, Su Fong. Moreover, Devil Saint Fusha has upgraded you to the #1 primordial spirit magical treasure in the myriad of worlds. With such an extraordinary magical treasure, who in the myriad of worlds can stop me? Su Fong. Devil Saint Fusha, thank you. I have nothing to repay you with, but I will find an opportunity to kill you in the future and use your life to thank you." Su Fong sat cross-legged beside the blood pool, and 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. He used the Tianji life shrinking technique, and when he was sure that Devil Saint Fu Sha wasn't paying attention to this place, he released a burst of demonic qi, enveloping the ancestral devil blood plate, and then kept it in his divine aperture. Buzz, buzz, buzz. While the ancestral devil blood plate was still struggling in Su Fong's divine aperture, the second primordial spirit emerged from the depths of the Blood Death Demon King's divine aperture. A surge of primordial spirit energy burst out and entered the space inside the ancestral devil blood plate. The primordial spirit surged and turned into a black-clothed Su Fong in an instant. A Devil Saint Sun God occupied the space inside the ancestral devil blood plate and shouted angrily, "How dare you, Blood Death? How dare you keep the ancestral devil blood plate without permission? Are you coveting this saint's magical treasure? You are not Blood Death. You are." Seeing Su Fong's familiar appearance, the Devil Saint Sun God was stunned. Devil Saint Fu Sha. The second primordial spirit pointed at the Devil Saint Sun God, and the entire ancestral devil blood plate changed instantly. A surge of supreme primordial spirit energy shrouded the vast space of the blood plate like a heavenly might. Devil Saint Fu Sha exclaimed, "Su Fong, impossible. This saint saw your death with my own eyes. The Alliance Master personally divined that you've died, and it's impossible for you to come back to life. No, your aura is different from Su Fong's. You're definitely not Su Fong. That's right. I'm indeed not Su Fong's true body. I'm just his second primordial spirit, and his true body hasn't perished. I've taken back the ancestral devil blood plate this time, but next time, I'll take your true body's head." The second primordial spirit shouted coldly in a domineering manner. His primordial spirit energy transformed into numerous primordial spirit chains that shot towards Devil Saint Fu Sha. Devil Saint Fu Sha was an extremely formidable devil saint who could resurrect, and his strength was second only to the Tao Defiant Emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance. However, he could only be shackled by Su Fong's second primordial spirit, and he didn't have the ability to resist at all. If it wasn't for the fact that Devil Saint Fu Sha's yang soul would draw the attention of his true body, his second primordial spirit would be able to kill him with ease. After restraining Devil Saint Fu Sha's yang soul, the Blood Death Demon King stretched out his hand and grabbed towards the devil pool. The blood within the pool transformed into a river of blood that flowed into his body. After that, his second primordial spirit controlled Blood Death to step into the devil formation, and then it activated the devil formation to swiftly teleport him out of the depths of Devil Saint Mountain and into the palace at the peak of Devil Saint Mountain. "Blood Death, why did you leave? Who's injecting devil chi into the ancestral devil blood plate in the depths of Devil Saint Mountain?" He was extremely unlucky, and he just happened to run into the Devil King of Darkness as soon as he left the palace. "Master suddenly sent me a message with his primordial spirit, and he asked me to leave the devil world immediately." The Blood Death Demon King answered indifferently and was about to leave the palace. The Devil King of Darkness instantly became suspicious, and he shouted angrily, "Stop right there. The ancestral devil blood plate is an extremely important matter to Master, so how could he possibly ask you to leave? Stay here and wait for me to report to Master." "Fuck off." A blood-red devil mark suddenly flashed out of the Blood Death Demon King's eyes and landed on the Devil King of Darkness. The evil and terrifying curse of death energy caused the Devil King of Darkness's blood chi and devil chi to swiftly wither. The Blood Death Demon King flew out of Devil Saint Mountain. The Devil King of Darkness's furious roar resounded throughout the devil world. "The Blood Death Demon King has betrayed Master. Capture him." Whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 2485. Bloody Death. How dare you betray Master? You deserve death. Su Fong also rushed out of the Demon Palace and attacked Bloody Death Demon King with the other Demon Clan experts. He was even more fearless than the other Demon Clan experts. Whoosh! Bloody Death's body suddenly exploded, and a sea of blood swept towards Su Fong and the other demon clan experts. Monstrous demon might shrouded all directions, and the other demon clan experts all retreated. Su Fong, on the other hand, was covered in raging demon flames as he fought with the sea of blood. However, he didn't last long before he was swept away by the sea of blood, his body corroded and riddled with holes. What no one noticed was that when Su Fong and Bloody Death Demon King were fighting, the demon ancestor blood plate wrapped in blood was absorbed by Su Fong. At this time, Dark Flame Demon King and the other demon clan experts rushed over and trapped Bloody Death Demon King. At this time, he was in Demon Saint Fu Sha's world, so he couldn't travel through the void and couldn't escape. Bloody Death, who gave you the courage to steal this saint's supreme magic treasure? Demon Saint Fu Sha's angry voice reverberated in the Fu Sha demon world, and the power of the entire demon world shackled Bloody Death Demon King. Bloody Death Demon King's body shrank and turned into a human form. Suddenly, bloody flames burned from his body, and evil blood chi soared into the sky, breaking the shackles around him. You stole this saint's magic treasure, and you still want to escape from this saint's world? This saint will refine your soul for eternity. Astonishing world might suddenly descended and penetrated Bloody Death Demon King's body, shackling him from the inside out. At this time, he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. This saint will use soul search on you. Let's see where you got the courage to steal this saint's supreme magic treasure. A devil sage, fuming evil, materialized out of thin air, and he strode over with towering fury. Who knew whoosh? A black Xian Guang shot out from Bloody Death Demon King's head, ignoring Demon Saint Fu Sha's will and divine might, and also ignoring the shackles of the Fu Sha demon world, directly hiding in the void and disappearing without a trace. As for the Blood Death Demon King, he immediately became a living dead. Devil Sage Fu Sha was astonished. Such a powerful Yuan spirit. Who is this person? There are only a handful of experts in the universe who possess such a powerful Yuan spirit. Not to mention the strength of the second primordial spirit. Su Fong had already severed the karma of fate with the universe. In terms of cultivation, he had already transcended. Even Demon Sage Fu Sha's world could not shackle the second primordial spirit in the slightest. Ancestral Devil Blood Plate. My ancestral Devil Blood Plate has actually disappeared. After Fu Sha Devil Saint searched Blood Death Demon King, he immediately let out an earth-shattering roar, causing the Fu Sha Devil world to crumble layer by layer. Even the Devil Saint Mountain collapsed along with it. No one knew how many devils were killed or injured by it. What escaped just now was just a trace of primordial spirit. There's no way it could have taken the ancestral fiend blood plate away. The ancestral fiend blood plate must still be in Vanquish Fiend world. Let's see how you're going to hide in my world. Devil Saint Fu Sha immediately fused with the world. Every inch of space and every devil inside the Fu Sha devil world could not escape his detection. No, there's actually no trace of the ancestral fiend blood plate's aura. Devil Saint Fu Sha was both surprised and furious. At this moment, the ancestral fiend blood plate was within Su Fong's divine aperture, and it had been concealed by Su Fong's life shrinking technique. Not to mention Devil Saint Fu Sha, even the Tao Defiance Alliance's master would be unable to sense it at all. Devil Saint Fu Sha calmed his rage and carefully inspected Blood Death Demon King's corpse. He was instantly surprised and shocked once more. Night Demon. This is clearly Night Demon's divine ability. Damn it. Devil Saint Fu Sha immediately thought of the Lord of Sky Wheel and the Yin-Yang Sky Wheel of the Ninth Hell. So, Devil Saint Fu Sha took it for granted that the Lord of Sky Wheel had chased after Su Fong and failed to obtain any benefits. So, the Lord of Sky Will had left the Ninth Hell, snuck into the Fu Sha Devil world, and stole the ancestral fiend blood plate. Night Demon. Devil Saint Fu Sha couldn't help but gnash his teeth. The ancestral fiend blood plate was a supreme, nascent divinity realm magic treasure. Devil Saint Fu Sha had spent painstaking efforts to improve its quality all these years, but in the end, it was stolen by Night Demon. So, how could he not be furious? It's impossible for Blood Death to send the ancestral fiend Blood Plate out of my world in such a short period of time. So, the ancestral fiend Blood Plate is definitely still in my world. Moreover, Night Demon is definitely controlling other devil clans. Devil Saint Fu Sha unleashed his divine might and captured all the devil experts under his command and made them kneel in front of him. After that, he sensed all the devil experts again. He didn't let a single one of them go. Even Su Fong and the other devil kings were carefully sensed. In the end, Devil Saint Fu Sha finally discovered something. Where did the devil king of 6 manifestations go? A devil god said while trembling, "Master, the devil king of 6 manifestations left the Fu Sha devil world through the formation door when Blood Death was fighting the other devil kings. The devil king of 6 manifestations has a close relationship with the traitor Blood Death. It's very likely that." Devil Saint Fu Sha stretched out his hand and grabbed the devil god. Devil king of 6 manifestations. He must be the one who brought the ancestral fiend Blood Plate out of my world. Devil flames burst out from Devil Saint Fu Sha's eyes and burned the devil god into ashes in an instant. All the devil experts below were trembling with fear. They were afraid that Devil Saint Fu Sha would vent his anger on them. From today onwards, all of you shall stay in the Fu Sha devil world. Without my decree, no one is allowed to leave. Devil Saint Fu Sha snorted coldly. His figure rapidly turned into nothingness. He actually went after the devil king of 6 manifestations personally. Su Fong, who was among the devil experts, sneered incessantly in his heart. That devil king of 6 manifestations is already gone. You won't be able to find his shadow, even if you search the entire universe. As for the ancestral fiend Blood Plate, Su Fong returned to the Devil Palace. He didn't dare to make any movements. Inside his divine aperture, his young spirit was examining the ancestral fiend Blood Plate. The palm-sized ancestral fiend Blood Plate was covered with dense devil runes. It emitted a shocking bloody light, devil chi, and primordial spirit divine might. I didn't expect that the ancestral fiend Blood Plate would be recovered and become the #1 primordial spirit magical treasure in the universe. My luck is really good. Su Fong was very happy as he carefully examined the ancestral fiend Blood Plate. The power of his second primordial spirit was already incomparably strong. With this ancestral fiend Blood Plate, who could compete with Su Fong with their primordial spirit alone? Su Fong estimated that even the supreme existences of the imperial people could have a primordial spirit battle with their second primordial spirit with the help of the ancestral fiend Blood Plate. How could Su Fong not be happy to receive such a great benefit by accident? However, the ancestral fiend Blood Plate couldn't be used for the time being. Devil Saint Fu Sha's young spirit inside the ancestral fiend Blood Plate couldn't be moved for the time being. Once he killed him, Devil Saint Fu Sha would definitely sense it, and it would attract unnecessary trouble. Su Fong sealed Devil Saint Fu Sha's young spirit with a life-shrinking technique. Then, he began to merge with the ancestral fiend Blood Plate secretly. It wouldn't be long before he could activate this supreme, primordial spirit magical treasure. About 3 years later, when Demon Saint Fuming Evil returned to the devil world, he naturally returned empty-handed. Such a great loss made him very angry, but there was nothing he could do. He blamed this on Night Demon. After breaking through the sky screen, he planned to go to the 9 Netherland again to find the Lord of the Sky wheel to settle the score. His second Yuan Shun also returned to Su Fong's true body's divine aperture. Su Fong's second Yuan Shun was able to enter and exit Devil Saint Fu Sha's world with ease. After transcending heaven and earth, Su Fong's second Yuan Shun had become incredibly strong. The only troublesome thing was that after losing the ancestral fiend Blood Plate, Devil Saint Fu Sha completely sealed the demon world, making it difficult for Su Fong to leave. With Su Fong's current strength, it wasn't difficult for him to forcefully break the barrier of the demon world. However, that would definitely lead to a huge battle. In the end, Su Fong still decided to stay in the demon world and find an opportunity to leave. He would think of a way to take back the Heaven Supervisor token and the Prison Suppression Codex. QL11 about 300 years later. The demon world suddenly shook violently. Immediately after, Devil Saint Fu Sha's majestic voice reached the ears of every demon race expert. Come out! Su Fong was swept up by a divine might and sent out of the demon world. When he reappeared, he had already arrived in the natural world. He looked over. 1,000,000 kilometers away, there was a sky curtain that divided heaven and earth into two. He had actually arrived outside the sky curtain. Could it be that the Tao Defiance Alliance is going to attack the sky curtain? Su Fong's heart skipped a beat. Then, he sensed it and was shocked again. It turned out that he was currently in an array formation. The array formation was formed by interweaving blood-red heavenly scars, and it emitted an evil and strange aura. There were countless array formations around Su Fong, and each array formation had a demon, cultivator, or big goblin. The array formations were densely packed and connected together to form a vast and boundless array formation. Su Fong had never seen such an astonishing array formation. What shocked him in particular was that the array formation was actually resonating with the 6 evil suns in the sky. What is the Tao Defiance Alliance planning to do? Su Fong vaguely sensed that something was wrong. After sensing carefully, Su Fong discovered something else. There was a human cultivator, a demon, or a big goblin in each small array formation, but there was no Tao Defiant. Su Fong also discovered the Northern Heavens Demon King and other experts of the demon world in a nearby array formation. There was no lack of peerless experts comparable to overgods, but there was no resurrected demon god. The other human cultivators and big goblins in the array formations were also extraordinary in cultivation. The lowest was at the Divine Emperor realm, and there were also some overgods among them. Moreover, they were all shackled in the array formation. There were probably more than 100 million human cultivators, big goblins, and demons shackled in such a vast array formation. It was likely that the Tao Defiance Alliance had captured at least half of the experts in the God realm under their control. Is Devil Saint Fu Sha planning to use us as cannon fodder? Su Fong finally understood, and his heart calmed down. With Su Fong's current strength, even the leader of the Tao Defiance Alliance wouldn't be able to shackle him as long as he focused on escaping. He wanted to see what the Tao Defiance Alliance was up to. The other demon race experts in the vicinity also realized that something was wrong, but they weren't as calm as Su Fong. They panicked and tried to break out of the array formation shackles. However, there were countless arrays connected together. If they wanted to break out of the array formation, they had to have the strength to shake the entire array. Even a supreme sovereign couldn't do it, let alone them. The Northern Heavens Demon King shouted, "Master, this subordinate has been loyal to you. Why are you doing this?" The other demon race experts from the demon world of Fu Sha also shouted. Devil Saint Fu Sha's cold voice sounded, "This saint's ancestral fiend blood plate has been lost, and all of you will be severely punished. It just so happens that the Tao Defiance Alliance needs to create a peerless array formation to break through the sky curtain. It will be of some use." All the demon race experts from the demon world of Fu Sha fell into despair. Chapter 2486. The Sky Beacon God Realm. Countless gods and big goblins stood in the sky above the God Realm. They looked at the other side of the Two Realms River through the sky barrier. They could see countless substances condensed from divine abilities floating on the other side of the Two Realms River. The figures of the Tao Defiance were moving about on the substances. They were as numerous as ants, and their aura of death and evil covered the sky. What was most shocking was that there was a vast formation that covered an area of 1,000,000 kilometers that could be seen with a single glance. Even an idiot could tell that the Tao Defiance Alliance was preparing their strongest attack against the sky barrier. This scene made everyone tremble with fear. The Tao Defiance Alliance is going to make a final, crazy gamble. The sky barrier was personally created by a supreme existence who transcended the heavens and the earth. The Tao Defiance Alliance doesn't have any transcendence, so how could they possibly break through the sky barrier? So what if we hold the sky barrier? Yeah, Su Fong has perished, and no one can enter the exalted celestial mountain anymore. Even if the sky barrier doesn't break, it'll be difficult to stop the upheaval from happening again. Who will be lucky enough to survive when the time comes? The deities were secretly communicating with each other. Everyone felt despair at the current situation. Everyone's eyes were filled with worry and panic. Pessimism enveloped the sky, beacon god realm, and even every corner of the universe. A middle-aged man with a square face looked at the sky barrier with worry on his face, but his deep eyes were faintly filled with excitement and anticipation. He was the first elder of the punishment hall, Zhong Yinji. Lord Evil Dominator Tian Du has perished, and I've lost my backer in the Tao Defiance Alliance. But as long as I can help the Tao Defiance Alliance break through the sky barrier, I'll definitely be a supreme powerhouse when the Tao Defiance Alliance dominates the universe. Zhong Yinji couldn't help but feel a burning sensation in his heart when he thought up to this point. Xuanxin and Huang Lingyao were also looking at the other side of the Two Realms River. Xuanxin's eyes were filled with worry, but Huang Lingyao's expression was like that of a living corpse. It was as if the collapse of the world had nothing to do with her. Dixuan flew over, followed by Chu Bingyin and many Yuan Tiangong disciples. Beside Dixuan, there was a young man who looked to be about 25 or 26 years old. He wore a fiery red robe with a lifelike divine sun pattern on it, making him look like a rising sun. Not only was this person handsome, he possessed the aura of a ruler and composure that matched his age, and he possessed a sharpness and loftiness that only peerless figures possessed. His entire body emanated an arrogant aura, and it was as if nothing in the world could enter his eyes. Who is this person who is walking side by side with the Lord Dixuan? Everyone in the distance looked over and discussed the young man. Dixuan asked Xuanxin, "Are you still worried about Su Fong?" Xuanxin said faintly, "Su Fong will be fine. Even the divine prison of law couldn't do anything to him, let alone the 10 serenities." Chu Bingyan wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought. Su Fong's magic weapon had fallen into the hands of the Defiance, which was enough to prove that Su Fong had fallen. At this time, Xuanxin was probably the only one who believed that Su Fong was fine. The young man beside Dixuan said domineeringly, "Su Fong may have fallen, but there are still so many geniuses in Yuan Tiangong. They may not be inferior to Su Fong, and they may not be unable to enter the celestial worthy mountain." Tianyang. The young man's words immediately caused Xuanxin and Huang Lingyao's expressions to change slightly, and they turned their attention to this person. Who is this person? He's so arrogant that he doesn't even take Su Fong seriously. This person is Tianyang, a peerless genius who rose in the last 10,000 years. He's famous and is no weaker than Di Yuan and Su Fong. He's the direct disciple of Heavenly Emperor Tru Yang. His background, talent, and ability are all unparalleled. He does indeed have the right to be arrogant. It turned out that Tianyang was the direct disciple of a venerable emperor named Heavenly Emperor Tru Yang. Heavenly Emperor Tru Yang was a reclusive powerhouse who had not shown himself for a long time. It was not until more than 10,000 years ago, when Su Fong had fallen in the 10 serenities, that Heavenly Emperor Tru Yang appeared with Tianyang and came to Yuan Tiangong. Therefore, Tianyang did not participate in the selection of geniuses in Yuan Tiangong. After coming to Yuan Tiangong, Tianyang rose like a blazing sun, showing off his peerless talent. Tianyang had cultivated for nearly 5 million years. Although he was not as good as Di Yuan, Goddess Luo, Xuanxin, or Su Fong in this aspect, he currently had the powerful ability of a middle-rank lord, surpassing any genius in Yuan Tiangong. Moreover, Tianyang had created countless miracles in Yuan Tiangong during these 10,000 years. As soon as he entered Yuan Tiangong, Tianyang passed through the 90th level of the 10,000 spell pagoda in one go, breaking the record set by Di Yuan, Su Fong, and the others back then, shocking Yuan Tiangong. In the Chaos Sea, Tianyang meditated for 1,000 years and finally created his own remarkable ability, causing waves of nearly 10,000 feet, breaking the record set by Dixuan back then. Even Su Fong had not broken this record back then. In the past 1,000 years, Yi Tianyang entered the battlefield of the Two Realms River and killed countless powerhouses from the Tao Defiance Alliance. He even had a glorious battle record of killing a peak Lord powerhouse, becoming one of the top 100 powerhouses in the Sky Beacon God world. He was only inferior to Su Fong on the merit leaderboard. Yi Tianyang's sudden appearance had caught everyone's attention. Chu Bingyan was extremely displeased by his words of contempt for Su Fong. He sneered, "Yi Tianyang, Su Fong has a battle record of killing the evil dominator of Tiandu and Dongsha Masheng in the abyss. Why do you have to look down on him?" Yi Tianyang smiled proudly and said domineeringly, "Su Fong is indeed extraordinary. Perhaps he has surpassed me, but so what? He's just a dead man. No matter how extraordinary he is, he belongs to the past." Xuanqin raised his eyebrows. There was coldness in the depths of his eyes. Yi Tianyang continued, "Su Fong being able to have such strength is all because of the primordial chaos sacred mirror. If I had such a supreme divine weapon, I might be able to kill a venerable emperor powerhouse and enter the exalted celestial mountain to stop the upheaval." Some of the Yuan Tiangong geniuses behind Yi Tianyang also flattered him. Although they did not dare to belittle Su Fong in front of Xuanqin and Chu Bingyan, they praised Yi Tianyang to the skies. Dixuan watched from the side with a smile and did not say anything. Xuanqin smiled lightly. Chu Bingyan was furious, but there was nothing he could say. With the help of the ink-condensing mystical water, he broke through to the over-god realm and his strength skyrocketed. He had challenged Yi Tianyang before, but the result, naturally, he failed. Strong. Although Yi Tianyang was extremely arrogant, he was also extremely powerful. Among the many Yuan Tiangong geniuses, no one could defeat him. Some people even suspected that Yi Tianyang had the ability to fight Dixuan. As for Su Fong, a fallen genius, people had gradually forgotten him. Huang Lingyao, however, looked at Yi Tianyang coldly. "He's just a clown. How dare he compete with Su Fong?" Yi Tianyang said, "It's a pity that Su Fong is dead. I can't fight with him. It's really a pity. Otherwise, I would compete with him for the title of #1 genius in all the realms." Suddenly, a powerful aura descended from the sky and enveloped the entire Sky Beacon God realm. Everyone was trembling. A kind of reverence and fear that came from the bottom of their soul arose spontaneously. A figure in white clothes appeared in the sky. Although he wasn't very tall, he was worshipped by everyone. The supreme existence of the imperial people. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Many figures flew out of the Sky Beacon God realm. They cupped their fists and bowed to the white-robed man. More than 30 peerless sovereigns among the humans of all the realms had appeared. The white-robed man's gaze swept across the crowd. Countless cultivators and Big Goblin in the Sky Beacon God realm felt that his gaze could see through them. A feeling of being as small and insignificant as ants involuntarily arose in their hearts. Then the white-robed man said majestically, "I am Di Hao. Greetings, supreme existence of the imperial people." Everyone knelt. Even someone as arrogant as Yi Tianyang knelt in the sky. The supreme existence of the imperial people said, "The Tao Defiance Alliance has been preparing for 10,000 years. The war is imminent, and it concerns the survival of all the realms. The importance of this war is self-evident. I hope that everyone has the determination and will to fight to the death." Yes, the supreme existence of the imperial people continued. "I've heard that some people say that Su Fong's death is unstoppable. Even if we kill all the Tao Defiance, we won't be able to change the fate of all the realms. It's better to submit to the Tao Defiance and defy the heavens." Everyone's heart skipped a beat. The spies of the Tao Defiance Alliance who had infiltrated the Sky Beacon God realm, as well as the gods and Big Goblin who had such thoughts, were all trembling with fear. The supreme existence of the imperial people stroked his beard and smiled faintly. "I can understand your thoughts. But have all of you thought about it? Even though you're able to escape death by going against the heaven Tao, you'll become the puppet of the evil god and lose yourself in the end? What's the point of living like a walking corpse? Then he shouted majestically, I would rather die in battle than live an ignoble life. I would rather die in battle than live an ignoble life. Many cultivators and lords roared in unison. Their low morale was reignited. There's one more thing that I didn't want to reveal for now, but in order to dispel some people's unrealistic thoughts and rekindle your hope, I'm going to announce it to everyone today. The supreme existence of the imperial people's words caused everyone, and even the big goblin, to perk up their ears. The hope of stopping the world's upheaval hasn't been lost. In 80,000 years, someone will enter the exalted celestial mountain with the chaos sacred mirror. Whoosh, the sky beacon god realm was in an uproar. I heard that the supreme emperor of the Tao Defiance Alliance failed to obtain the chaos sacred mirror after killing Su Fong. Could the imperial people have found it? Even if they did, who else but Su Fong can use it and enter the exalted celestial mountain? Yi Tianyang. Only Yi Tianyang is qualified to use the chaos sacred mirror and enter the exalted celestial mountain. Yi Tianyang. This person will replace Di Yuan and Su Fong as the #1 prodigy in all the worlds. He's the only hope of the human race. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless gazes gathered on Yi Tianyang. At this moment, Yi Tianyang seemed to be the center of all the worlds. Even many Emperor Realm Masters turned their gazes to Yi Tianyang. There were also some Emperor Masters who congratulated a red-robed Emperor Master. This person was Yi Tianyang's master, Great Emperor Tru Yang. Chapter 2487. For a moment, Yi Tianyang became the focus of everyone's attention. How majestic! Seeing everyone's reaction, the supreme existence of the imperial people was stunned. Then, he understood and shook his head with a smile. Everyone, please don't misunderstand. There is only one person who can activate the origin sacred mirror and enter the exalted celestial mountain. Su Fong. Su Fong. Didn't Su Fong die a long time ago? Why are you bringing up the past now? Everyone in the Sky Beacon God world was shocked. They did not understand what the supreme existence of the imperial people meant. Xuanqin realized something. Her eyes suddenly shone brightly and her heart beat wildly. Although she had guessed that Su Fong was not dead, there was no confirmed news. How could she not be excited and shocked when she was finally about to receive confirmation? Dixuan's eyes flashed with disbelief. Su Fong, is he really not dead? Yi Tianyang looked like he had been slapped in the face in front of everyone. His flying figure disappeared in an instant. His face was pale, as if he had been greatly humiliated. Huang Lingyao said coldly, You are asking for humiliation, a clown. Yi Tianyang looked like he had been slapped in the face again. His handsome face instantly turned red. Only Dao Emperor said with a trembling voice, Lord Di Hao, is Su Fong not dead? Please tell us. Everyone's breathing and heartbeat suddenly stopped. They looked at the supreme existence of the imperial people with wide eyes. It's time to announce the truth. The supreme existence of the imperial people flipped his right hand, and a black oil lamp appeared in his palm. As the oil lamp burned, the flames it released formed a light shield. Inside the light shield, there was a human figure floating within. The face of the figure was very lifelike. Who else could it be but Su Fong? Su Fong. That's Su Fong's life origin lamp. In an instant, a commotion broke out in the Sky Beacon God realm. Cries of surprise shook the heavens and swept out in all directions. The entire Sky Beacon God realm was thrown into a huge commotion. Su Fong didn't die? Could it all be a lie fabricated by the Tao Defiance Alliance? Everyone was deeply shocked. They found it hard to believe that Su Fong was still alive. The life origin lamp was a life origin lamp that was lit by the primordial spirit. If Su Fong died, the life origin lamp would definitely be extinguished. At this moment, Su Fong's life origin lamp was still intact, which was enough to prove that Su Fong was still alive and well. With the unparalleled strength of the imperial people, they could create anything. However, they were still unable to create life and souls. The destiny aura in this life origin lamp was undoubtedly from Su Fong. No one could doubt it. The supreme being of the imperial people said majestically. Su Fong's life lamp was extinguished earlier because Su Fong was attempting to break through to become a lord and used a supreme technique to sever the karma of fate. Now that his life origin lamp has reignited, Su Fong has successfully become a lord and will appear soon. Since Su Fong isn't dead, the end of the Tao Defiance Alliance will soon descend. This emperor knew it. How could that brat Su Fong die so easily? Emperor Sang Qiu laughed loudly, and his laughter shook the entire sky beacon god realm. The other emperors also laughed loudly. Even the supreme emperors who wanted nothing more than to annihilate Su Fong had to force themselves to smile. Xuanqin suddenly felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. His body felt extremely relaxed, and tears flickered in his cold eyes. It looks like I won't be able to escape from the wine I promised Su Fong in the Nine Hells. Emperor Sang Qiu laughed heartily. Chu Bingyan was also in high spirits. The 9 emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance, and even the Tao Defiance Alliance master himself, were unable to kill Su Fong. Is there any genius in the myriad of worlds, or even those supreme emperors, who can compare to Su Fong? How laughable! Some people actually want to replace Su Fong. They're overestimating themselves. Yi Tianyang's face turned pale. Then he regained his composure, and a strong fighting spirit emanated from his body. It's even better that Su Fong isn't dead. After the battle, Yi Tianyang, will let him know who is the #1 genius in the myriad of worlds. How can Su Fong not be dead? This is absolutely impossible. Great waves surged in Zhong Yingji's heart, but he didn't dare to show it on his face. The news that Su Fong was still alive made the many gods and big goblin who had fallen into despair excited. The gloomy and despairing atmosphere that had enveloped the sky beacon god realm before had completely disappeared. The life and death of one person could affect the rise and fall of myriad worlds. In the myriad of worlds besides Su Fong, who else had the ability to shake the myriad worlds? Seeing the excited crowd, the Yuan Tiangong geniuses were extremely jealous. If a cultivator could reach Su Fong's level in their lifetime, they could die without regrets. The life and death of one person could affect the rise and fall of myriad worlds. Su Fong. Intense jealousy and fighting spirit surged in Yi Tianyang's eyes. Su Fong, I hope you can return soon. Yi Tianyang will step on your head and achieve my supreme reputation. As the supreme existence of the imperial people announced that Su Fong was still alive, the sky beacon god realm swept away their previous decadence and prepared to deal with the Tao Defiance Alliance's frenzied attacks with all their might. The news spread to the other planes and star regions of the god realm. Countless experts and Big Goblin originally planned to retreat and hide in desolate and dark spaces, hoping to avoid the upcoming calamity. When they heard that Su Fong was still alive and that there was still hope for the myriad worlds, these cultivators and Big Goblin hurried to the sky beacon god realm to participate in the upcoming world-shaking battle that would decide the fate of the myriad worlds. Many wild and savage Big Goblin even walked out of the demon realm and came to the sky beacon god realm. QL11, there were even more cultivators and great demons who planned to submit to the Tao Defiance Alliance out of despair. There are also a few spirit clans and other exotic races. There were even some evil powers. However, all of them gave up on the idea of submitting to the Tao Defiance Alliance and hurried over to the sky beacon god world in preparation to fight the Tao Defiance Alliance to the death. Vast Frost Prison. The head elder of the Punishment Hall, Zhong Yingji, personally came to the Vast Frost Prison. Whoosh, one figure after another was sent into the Vast Frost Prison. The moment they appeared, they were immediately shackled by the Vast Frost Prison's divine might and sealed in ice. There were Tao Defiance, devils, and other powerful existences from the Dark World who were automatically sent into the Vast Frost Prison by the Sky Curtain. When they passed through the Sky Curtain to enter the Sky Beacon God Realm, Their auras were recognized by the sky curtain and automatically sent into the vast frost prison to be suppressed. Ever since the sky curtain had been created, countless Tao Defiants had tried to sneak into the sky beacon god realm, but they were all suppressed in the vast frost prison and killed in the end. 15 minutes later, more than 1,000 experts from the Tao Defiance Alliance were sent into the vast frost prison. The weakest of them was a hierarch, and there were even 3 peerless experts who were peak over gods. Zhong Yinji and the Tao Defiance under his command who had snuck into the sky beacon god realm activated the formation and released the Tao Defiance from their shackles. With such a large group of experts sneaking into the sky beacon god realm and dealing a fatal blow to the human cultivators at the critical moment, the sky curtain will collapse on its own. Even if Su Fong doesn't die, so what? The human world won't be able to escape the fate of destruction. Zhong Yinji was very smug. Suddenly, an old man walked out of the void and swept the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance in the vast frost prison with divine light. He revealed a disappointed expression. Just a bunch of small fries? I thought that I would be able to catch a few big fish, but I didn't expect that not even a single emperor would show up. Zhong Yinji's entire body trembled as if he had been struck by lightning. Xiao Wanting. The dignified old man with a cold gaze was the supreme emperor who had been in charge of the sky beacon god realm. Xiao Wanting. Zhong Yinji immediately realized that his scheme had been exposed, and he was astounded. He burned his vitality, soul, and divine energy in an attempt to escape the vast frost prison. The Tao Defiants who had just arrived in the vast frost prison fell into despair as well, and they unleashed their greatest strength in an attempt to charge out of the vast frost prison. A bunch of ants trying to escape from this emperor? Xiao Wanting smiled indifferently with disdain. Lightning flashed from his eyes, and it instantly enveloped Zhong Yinji and all the Tao Defiants in a terrifying world of thunder and lightning. Zhong Yinji was still unwilling to give up, and he shouted loudly, "I've been in the sky beacon god realm for so long, and I hold great power in my hands. How did you see through me?" Xiao Wanting snorted disdainfully. Su Fong disguised himself as the big goblin Yuan Li and entered the sky beacon god realm. I saw through your identity from the moment you entered, but you were completely unaware. You put on a clumsy performance like a clown, but you were completely unaware. This emperor has been watching you since the beginning, and it's time to reel in the net today. Su Fong. It's that damnable Su Fong again. Zhong Yinji roared in fury and despair. He thought that he had done it without anyone noticing, but it turned out that they had seen through him a long time ago. Everything he had done over the years had been within the sky beacon god realm's control, and it made him feel like he had been utterly humiliated. His hatred for Su Fong was monstrous. Su Fong is the nemesis of Tao Defiance like you. With him around, you won't even be able to keep your lives, let alone break through the sky curtain. Die, all of you. Xiao Wanting snorted. Destructive lightning surged in the world and fell on the Tao Defiance. In the blink of an eye, over 1,000 Tao Defiants, including Zhong Yinji, were annihilated. Xiao Wanting withdrew his divine might and shouted coldly, "Vast Frost, come out and see this emperor." Cold light flashed, and the vast Frost Emperor's figure quickly materialized. The vast Frost prison was a prison he had created himself, so it was natural that he had sensed what had happened earlier. He knew that he couldn't absolve himself from the blame, so he hurriedly cupped his fists at Xiao Wanting. "This emperor has failed in his duty. Please punish me, Emperor Xiao." Xiao Wanting said coldly, "Punish? Humph. Vast Frost, you failed to obtain the treasures left behind by Su Fong, and you tried to kill Su Fong's Tao companion, Xuanxin. Now, you let these Tao Defiants into the sky beacon divine world. Are you trying to defy the Tao?" Xiao Wanting. This emperor made a mistake and misjudged Zhong Yinji, which led to the Tao Defiants sneaking into the sky beacon divine world. "You! How dare you accuse this emperor of defying the Tao?" The vast Frost Emperor flew into a rage. The surrounding void was frozen and shattered by his icy aura. "Vast Frost, you can talk to Lord D. How about your reasoning?" Xiao Wanting said coldly. Xiao Wanting said coldly, Light flashed in his eyes, and a shadow of divine power shot out. It turned into a chain of lightning and was about to shackle the Emperor of Temple. The vast Frost Emperor hesitated for a moment and gave up resisting. He allowed the lightning chain to enter his divine body and divine aperture. Naturally, he wasn't willing to give up. He shouted angrily, "This Emperor refuses to accept." Xiao Wanning shook his head and sighed. "Vast Frost, don't you understand? I'm shackling you not because of these ants that sneaked into the sky, beacon divine world, but because of your previous actions." The vast Frost Emperor was enlightened. He had chased after Xuanxin and Huang Lingyao in an attempt to steal Su Fang's treasures. Now that Su Fang had come back from the dead, the supreme existence of the imperial people wouldn't shackle him. How could they give Su Fang an explanation? When he thought about it even more deeply, the Emperor clan unmatched existence did this to protect him. If Su Fang returned, he would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. He even dared to offend the supreme existence of the imperial people. How could he let the vast Frost Emperor go? After shackling the vast Frost Emperor. Chapter 2488. The news that Su Fang was still alive had spread to the other side of the Two Realms River. In a space-time that had been opened up by a supreme ability, a black coffin was floating in space-time. It emanated a terrifying aura that could destroy all life, and there was a diagram of an arrow falling from the sky. Over a dozen figures were standing respectfully around the coffin. There were the Tao Defiants of the Tao Defiance Alliance, and there were also formidable existences comparable to emperors from the Devil race and other evil forces. Su Fang is still alive. The Tao Defiance Alliance master's laughter that was filled with ridicule resounded from within the coffin. Looks like the imperial people are at their wits' end. They actually came up with such a method to deceive the myriad of worlds and raise their morale. Devil Saint Fu Sha laughed strangely. I personally witnessed Su Fang's death in the 10 underworlds, and the Alliance Master personally deduced that Su Fang is definitely dead. Now, the human world is actually claiming that Su Fang is still alive. How laughable. The other emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance roared with laughter as well. The Tao Defiance Alliance Master's voice resounded from within the black coffin. The 9 Suns Life Extermination Formation that we've prepared for 10,000 years has been completed, and breaking through the sky barrier is just around the corner. The myriad of worlds are under the control of the Tao Defiance Alliance, and the Supreme Heretic God is about to break free from his shackles. So, even if Su Fang has come back to life, how could he defy the heavens? After that, numerous orders resounded from within the coffin. Ku Xian, cooperate with Lord Emotion and enter the sky beacon divine world when the battle begins. We'll work together from the inside and the outside to break through the sky barrier in one go. Fu Sha, you're in charge of guarding the 9 Suns Life Extermination Formation. It's related to the outcome of this battle, so you absolutely can't allow any mistakes to occur. The Skywheel's master has already left the 9 underworlds and stolen Fu Sha's ancestral devil blood disc. The 8 extreme emperors that were left behind in the 10 underworlds have perished for no reason. Send experts to investigate. The orders were issued by the Tao Defiance Alliance master meant that a battle that would decide the fate of the myriad of worlds had begun. Around 50 years, Su Fang, who sat cross-legged within the formation, suddenly opened his eyes and looked towards the blood-red altar that floated at the center of the enormous formation. Silhouettes appeared from the void, surrounding the blood-red altar in the air. Venerable emperors. All of them are venerable emperors. There are a total of 21 of them. Is this the true strength of the Tao Defiance? Su Fang was shocked when he sensed the aura of those figures. The Tao Defiance Alliance Master hasn't shown himself, and the strongest ancestral fiend of the Devil race hasn't shown himself as well. Obviously, they're waiting for the most critical moment of the battle to act. Su Fang sensed and used the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique to conceal the aura of destiny. Actually, he'd severed his karma of destiny with the Heaven Tao, so no one besides Transcendence could sense his aura of destiny. However, he was under the watch of the experts of the Tao Defiance, so it was best to be careful. The 21 emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance formed hand seals at the same time and activated the formation on the blood-red altar. Chi, a crimson light filled with an evil aura, shot up into the sky from the spell altar and disappeared into the horizon. QL11 in a split second. At the highest point in the sky, the 6 blood suns surrounding the divine sun suddenly dimmed. All the cultivators, big goblin, and other life forms felt as if the world was about to be destroyed. Chi, 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 chi. The crimson light shot out from the 6 blood suns and instantly descended around the river of 2 realms. Even the sky was unable to obstruct the light of the blood suns at all, and endless space was enveloped by the crimson light. In everyone's eyes, the world had changed color, and they'd fallen into a world of evil. The natural aura of the world was completely tainted by this evil and violent aura, and the laws were changed as well. It was as if the world had been changed in an instant. Su Fong was shocked when he sensed the aura of the Blood Suns. The Tao Defiance Alliance has actually used a formation to draw upon the power of the Blood Suns and Xie Yang to envelop space. The Big Goblin was the first to be unable to endure Xie Yang's aura. They instantly lost control of their souls and fell into a frenzied and violent state, and they launched wild attacks towards their surroundings. The Sky Beacon God realm instantly fell into chaos. Is this what the Tao Defiance Alliance has been preparing for 10,000 years? Child's play. The Supreme Imperial People arrived in the sky above the Sky Beacon God realm. Divine might surged out of his body and enveloped the entire Sky Beacon God realm, dispelling most of Xie Yang's aura. All the gods and Big Goblin felt as if they'd returned to nature from the evil space-time, and the Big Goblin quickly returned to their normal state. On the other side of the river of 2 realms, the Big Goblin that had been shackled in the formation wasn't so lucky. They reverted to their true forms and madly attacked the formation around them. However, the formation around them was extremely sturdy, and the Big Goblin were like dragonflies crashing into stone pillars. Their bodies were smashed into pieces when they crashed into the formation, and some even died on the spot. The Tao Defiance Alliance has clearly prepared more than this. Su Fong inwardly speculated, just as Su Fong had expected. Above the river of 2 realms, crimson light surged and quickly condensed into 6 crimson stars. They emitted crimson light, and they were exactly the same as the 6 blood suns in the sky. Su Fong used his great perfection ability, and his extraordinary vision swept across Xie Yang's projection. Boom! He saw the evil and scorching crimson flames burning and boiling, and he could vaguely see the outline of a tomb inside the flames. Before Su Fong could take a closer look, an extremely evil intent followed Su Fong's gaze and swept toward his divine aperture, wanting to devour his primordial spirit. He felt that the evil intent was like a surging flood, and Su Fong's extremely powerful primordial spirit was like a small pool that would be swallowed by the flood in an instant. Heavenly Secret Life, Shrinking Technique, Cut Off Fate. Su Fong didn't hesitate to use the Heavenly Secret Life, Shrinking Technique to cut off the aura of fate, which cut off the evil intent from invading his divine aperture. It was a startling glimpse. Su Fong's entire body seemed to be covered in frost, and his heart was in turmoil. These 6 blood suns aren't the 6 Xie suns in the sky, but they're projections of Xie Yang. There's actually a tomb hidden in Xie Yang. What kind of secret is hidden in it? It was the first time Su Fong had seen the secret of Xie Yang, so he was naturally shocked. The projections of the 6 blood suns hung high in the sky. The battlefield of the 2 worlds river outside the canopy had completely turned into a world of blood. Evil energy filled the world, changing the laws of the world and polluting the natural aura of the world. Even the extremely powerful canopy in the sky was constantly being weakened by the power of the projections of the 6 blood suns. All the cultivators, Big Goblin, devils, and all the life forms born in the world, including the devils and evil existences of the Tao Defiance Alliance who weren't Tao Defiance, were rapidly suppressed, and their life force was constantly draining away. This blood-red world was a forbidden zone for all life forms. But the Tao Defiants, who had revived their experts and gone against the Tao Defiants, became even more powerful in this world created by Xie Yang, and their auras suddenly skyrocketed. If I fail to enter the celestial worthy mountain, the universe will fall into this situation. This is a true catastrophe. Su Fang could see the future of the universe from this blood-red world. Once the evil god descended and devoured the heavenly Tao, he would dominate the universe. At that time, the universe would become like this, and it wouldn't be like what the Tao Defiants claimed, where they would come back from the dead and live forever. Boom! An ethereal aura descended from the Xie Yang in the sky and landed on the altar. At the same time, the 20 emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance formed seals to activate the altar again, and the enormous Nine Suns life-exterminating formation was activated. The small formations closest to the altar were activated as well, and the human cultivators, big goblin, and devils who were shackled within the formations had their vitality seeping out of their bodies uncontrollably. They turned into strands of vitality that were absorbed by the formations. Then, the formation would continuously send this blood chi to the spell altar. Hiss! Hiss! This scene was so shocking and terrifying. The formation's Su Fang was and hadn't been activated. He noticed that the vitality of the cultivators below the hierarch realm, the big goblin, and the devils were being devoured. However, there were so many of them that Su Fang estimated that the vitality of tens of millions of living beings had been completely devoured in the time it took to burn an incense stick. This didn't mean that the Tao Defiance Alliance was planning to let go of the living beings above the hierarch realm. They were planning to save them for last. What's the Tao Defiance Alliance planning to do? Could it be? Su Fang sensed a familiar destiny aura from the ethereal aura that had descended. It was exactly the same as the evil gods that had descended upon the great world in the battlefield of immortals and devils. But it was 1,000 or 10,000 times stronger. Su Fang was shocked when he realized the Tao Defiance Alliance's plan. That's the aura of the evil god. The Tao Defiance Alliance is planning to use the formations and the vitality of the living beings to make the evil gods will descend upon this place. The supreme existence of the imperial people in the sky beacon god world had clearly realized this as well, and he immediately shouted, "All emperors, charge out of the sky, curtain, and destroy that formation to stop the evil god from descending upon this world." The supreme existence of the imperial people led over 30 emperors, and 5 of them were great saints of the demon race who were comparable to emperors. They passed through the sky curtain and charged towards the enormous formation on the other side of the Two Realms River. Dihao, the supreme evil god, is about to descend. You humans should submit obediently. Otherwise, once the sky curtain is breached, all humans, including you, will become my food. The leader of the Tao Defiance voice seemed like it had come from the depths of hell, and his voice was still reverberating through the surroundings when a green arrow shot out violently from space and instantly appeared before that supreme existence from the imperial clans. It was an arrow. It was capable of shooting down the divine sun, shattering worlds, and annihilating all living beings. The emperors around the supreme existence of the imperial people were affected by the arrow's aura. In an instant, terrifying illusions of the divine sun being shot down and the heavens collapsing appeared before their eyes. Almost 1/10 of their vitality, origin spirits, and energy were lost in an instant. Moreover, this was merely the effects of the arrow. If they faced it head-on, no one would be able to stop it. Break! The supreme existence of the imperial people had a solemn expression on his face. The image of the exalted, celestial mountain appeared in his eyes as he stretched out his right hand and tapped the green arrow with his index finger. The sun, moon, and stars revolve around his fingertip, causing the weather to change. The finger seemed to have condensed all the energy of nature, and it carried the divine might of the heavenly Tao as it tapped the arrow. Boom! The arrow shattered bit by bit. The divine might of the supreme existence of the imperial people collapsed as well, but he stood there without moving. His white robes fluttered, and he seemed like the embodiment of the heavenly Tao. As expected of a number one expert of the imperial people, a supreme expert beneath the transcendent realm, he was able to easily disperse the powerful attack of the leader of the Tao Defiance. A black coffin slid out from the void, and the heavens and the earth dimmed. At the same time, a black-robed figure strode out from the void. It was a young man who seemed to be around 27 or 28 years old. He had a handsome appearance and seemed young, but his eyes contained the boundless age of time. It was like he'd existed for eternity. His aura was empty, as if he didn't belong to this world. However, his entire body emanated a supreme, dignified aura that made the heavens and the earth submit, and it made everyone feel like they were ants. An ancestral devil. Chapter 2489. The Ancestral Fiend. The first fiend that was born after the heavens and the earth were split apart had appeared. Even though it was the first time Su Fong had seen the ancestral fiend, he wasn't unfamiliar with him. Su Fong had once killed a remnant that the ancestral fiend had left behind in the large world in the fiend god sacred region. The ancestral fiend gave Su Fong the feeling that his aura was empty, and his strength was even stronger than the imperial people and the leader of the Tao Defiance. He had already taken a step out of the restraints of the heavens and the earth, and he had attained the shocking height of being half a step away from transcendence. The imperial people shouted coldly, "Ancestral fiend, you were born from the heavens and the earth, yet you actually want to defy the Tao and willingly become the puppet of that evil god?" The ancestral fiend smiled casually. "I've existed since the heavens and the earth were split apart, but I've never been able to transcend and have been restrained within this cage of the heavens and the earth. Lord Descendant has promised that he will help me transcend once he takes over the heaven Tao. So, why can't I submit to him and become his puppet?" The supreme monarch race existence roared thunderously. "Shameless!" The ancestral fiend snorted disdainfully. "The heavenly sovereign is about to fall, and the heaven Tao is about to be replaced by Lord Descendant. Could it be that you want me to be buried with the heavenly sovereign? There's no point in talking. Let's fight." A resurrected E and an ancestral fiend who's gone against the heaven Tao can't go against the heavens. The imperial people shouted in a domineering manner. E. The leader of the Tao Defiance is actually the resurrected E. The imperial people's words caused a wave of exclamations in the sky beacon god world. Su Fong was extremely shocked as well. Never had he imagined that the leader of the Tao Defiance would actually be the E who'd shot down the 9 suns. The imperial people erupted with divine might, and the powerful aura of the heaven Tao circulated incessantly transformed into a seemingly real universe. It isolated the aura of the blood sun and crushed down towards the leader of the Tao Defiance. Whem, whem, hiss. On top of the black coffin, an arrow inserted into the divine sun emitted a buzzing sound as it shot towards the supreme existence of the imperial people, shattering his world. The supreme imperial people were engaged in a battle with the Tao Defiance leader. The other 30-plus emperors were split into 2 groups. Nearly 20 human emperors and great sages joined forces to attack the ancestral fiend. The remaining dozen or so peerless sovereigns charged toward the altar. Besides Devil Saint Fu Sha, the other 20 Emperor Venerable Realm experts from the Tao Defiance Alliance had all charged out to attack. For a time, a great battle that shook the world unfolded in the sky above the 2 realms river. Exalted emperors were top-rate existences in the universe, whereas the imperial people were supreme existences. The Tao Defiance Alliance's master and ancestral fiend ancestors were supreme experts who were close to transcending. The battle between them caused space to shatter, the laws to collapse, and the world to be obliterated. The strength of the imperial people was slightly inferior to the leader of the Tao Defiance, but they weren't at a disadvantage for a short period of time. On the other hand, the ancestral fiend was even more powerful. He was only suppressed by the joint attacks of nearly 20 emperors, and they couldn't harm him at all. Meanwhile, the dozen or so human emperors charging toward the altar were stopped by the emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance, and they couldn't approach the altar at all. There were also emperors who attacked the 9 suns extermination array around the altar, but they only caused the array to tremble slightly. QL11 This array was connected by countless arrays. Unless one possessed great strength that could shake the entire array, it was impossible to break through it. However, the magic treasures of the human emperors were able to display great might mainly because they had nether sand infused into them, and they possessed the ability to suppress the Tao Defiance. After absorbing the vitality and blood of countless cultivators, big goblin, and devils, a blurry figure quickly condensed on the altar. We have to destroy the altar. Otherwise, the humans will be in danger once the evil god forms a physical body. Su Fong stared at the altar, and his deep eyes flashed with ruthlessness and decisiveness. Unexpectedly, just as Su Fong was about to attack, an old man walked out of the void. The old man seemed to have come from beyond the heavens, and he stepped through the world of blood and light to arrive on the altar in an instant. The mountain guardian, Su Fong immediately dismissed the idea of attacking when he saw the old man. How could the altar not be destroyed when a mountain guardian personally attacked? However, Su Fong found it extremely strange. The Tao Defiance Alliance knew that the humans had transcendence, and the strongest members of the Tao Defiance Alliance were the Tao Defiance Alliance Master and the Ancestral Fiend. All schemes would be useless if a transcendent took action. So, why did the Tao Defiance Alliance disregard the consequences and create such a grand array to launch a final attack on the Sky Curtain? With me here, the Tao Defiance can forget about taking a step into the Sky Curtain. A projection of divine might flashed out of the mountain guardian's eyes, and it quickly transformed into a towering and majestic celestial exalt mountain. It carried supreme divine might that could seal the universe as it crashed onto the altar. Poof! The projection that hadn't fully condensed, and the altar beneath it instantly shattered into pieces and transformed into nothingness. At the same time, the vast formation around the altar shook violently as well. Countless smaller formations shattered, and the cultivators, big goblin, and devil experts within the formations were shaken to death. However, the entire formation hadn't collapsed completely. Such an easy success with a single strike made everyone extremely surprised. The Tao Defiance Alliance Master's complacent and wild laughter resounded from within the black coffin. Mountain Guardian, you old dog. You didn't guard the Celestial Exalt Mountain properly and came to the River of Two Realms instead. How foolish of you. Did you really think that I spent 10,000 years and sacrificed a myriad of lives to create the 9 Suns Exalt formation for the sake of allowing a supreme, evil god to descend into the world? I've been tricked. Shit. The Mountain Guardian seemed to have realized something. Suddenly, the divine light around him changed. His figure flashed, and he disappeared without a trace. The supreme experts of the imperial people and the emperor realm experts stopped attacking, and all of their brows were tightly knit together. Even though they didn't know what had caused the mountain guardian to panic, they realized that the situation was rather bad. Su Fong wasn't surprised at all, and then he came to an understanding and instantly raised his head in shock. Shockingly, another patch of blood had appeared around the divine sun that nourished everything in the world and the other 6 suns in the sky. It was like a drop of blood had suddenly dyed the sky red, and the world had transformed into a sea of blood that completely blotted out the divine sun's radiance. The entire sky had actually turned from day to night in a short period of time, and only the cracks formed by the sun's radiance could be vaguely seen. The world was instantly covered in darkness. Su Fong's mind went blank. The 7th blood sun has risen into the sky. In the dark sky, a dark red blood sun, which seemed to be condensed from dark blood, quickly condensed in the sky. An extremely evil aura of death and violence instantly shrouded the world and filled every corner of nature. 7 evil suns condensed from black blood circled around the divine sun, and it looked like they were about to cover the divine sun's radiance and eventually contaminate and corrupt it. There were a total of 8 evil suns hanging high in the sky. Roar, 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 roar. Countless big goblin had 8 blood suns in their eyes, and a large amount of demonic chi surged out of their bodies. Some of them instantly fell into madness again. All the worlds in the universe instantly fell into chaos and frenzy. The 7th upheaval of the world had finally occurred in advance. During the 6th upheaval of the world, the 7th upheaval was about to occur, but in the end, the Mountain Guardian absorbed 30% of the life essence of everything in the world and suppressed it. Unexpectedly, the Tao Defiance Alliance attacked the sky with great momentum this time. It seemed like they were using a formation to allow the evil god's will to descend, but in reality, they were hiding a shocking scheme. Their true goal was to lure the Mountain Guardian out. The evil god sealed inside the celestial worthy mountain would take the opportunity to break the seal and release its evil power again. It would form the 7th evil sun and cause another upheaval of the world. Everyone looked up at the 7 blood suns in the sky. No, even the divine suns that were born in the world were dyed blood red. They looked like blood suns, and a total of 8 evil suns hung in the sky. Changing the world. It's over. It's completely over now. The appearance of the 7th blood sun means that the celestial worthy mountain can't suppress the evil god. Soon, the 8th blood sun will appear. The destruction of the entire world is unavoidable. The cultivators of the sky, beacon god world, and the other worlds fell into endless despair when they saw the 8 blood suns in the sky. The Tao Defiance, on the other hand, erupted into earth-shattering cheers. Su Fong looked up at the evil suns. Suddenly, a commotion came from the heaven and earth Tao Palace. He hurriedly separated his yang spirit and entered the heaven and earth Tao Palace. He found that the 76th yang meridian that was being attacked was suddenly shaking. Su Fong was astonished. This is the 76th yang meridian. It feels like it's about to be born and transformed. In the 9 underworlds, I devoured the heavenly fire divine lord and caused the birth of the 75th yang meridian. Although I kept attacking this meridian, I was in a state of mind for 10,000 years. I cultivated the yang meridian. Why is a yang meridian being born so quickly? Su Fong came to a realization. The reason he was about to form a yang meridian was none other than the power of the upheaval of the world. This was why he was about to form a yang meridian so quickly. This is a rare opportunity. I can't miss it. Since this meridian is about to be born, I'll activate the Origin's sacred realm and absorb the 9 yin chi to form the 76th yang meridian as soon as possible. It's just that I'm using the demon transformation technique now, so I'm in my devil form. As long as I use the 9 yang transformation technique, I'll return to my original form and attract the attention of the Tao Defiance. At that time, the Tao Defiance will chase after me. I have to think of a way to hide it from them. Su Fong pondered for a while and quickly came up with a solution. He separated the blood chi of his original body from Devil King Minoshan's body and formed his original body in the space inside Devil King Minoshan's body. Only the empty shell of Devil King Minoshan's body was left sitting cross-legged in the array. Then, Su Fong began to activate the array in the space inside Devil King Minoshan's stomach, which was actually a vast devil world. At the same time, he released the Fate runes from the Fate shrinking technique from the Heaven Secret Life shrinking technique and fused them with the array. In this way, no one would notice the changes in the universe inside Devil King Minoshan's stomach. Now that the upheaval of the world was happening, everyone's attention was focused on the sky. No one would notice this array. Even if they noticed something, they would at most see Devil King Minoshan's corpse and think that he had died in the array. Next, Su Fong activated the Origin sacred realm in his body. Then, he let the 9 yin chi enter his body and fuse it with the 9 yang chi. The movements of the yang meridian became more and more shocking, and it also burned with the 9 yang divine fire. The Heaven and Earth Tao Palace was in a state of frenzy, and the vast yang chi seemed to be boiling. Just as Su Fong was attacking the 76th yang meridian, the upheaval in the sky was still continuing, and another upheaval was brewing. The venerable sovereigns on the human side and the venerable sovereigns of the Tao Defiance Alliance all stopped fighting. They looked at the sky in despair, excitement, and anticipation. If the upheaval continued, the myriad worlds would not be able to escape the fate of destruction. It would be meaningless for both sides to continue fighting. Chapter 2490. The demonic world within Devil King Minoshan's body. Su Fong gathered all his strength, mainly the yang qi in the yang meridian and the power of the yin-yang world tree, and began to attack the meridian that was about to form a yang meridian. The entire heaven and earth Tao Palace was burning with yang qi flames. The astonishing flames illuminated the entire heaven and earth Tao Palace, filling it with pure yang divine might. After countless attacks, there was a pop in the end. The yang meridian brewed and swelled. Suddenly, it trembled as if it wanted to charge out of the body. Then, a wave of yang qi exploded from the Xinguang. It was like a divine sun was burning, causing the Tao Palace to become resplendent. When the Tao Palace calmed down, the 76th meridian turned from the color of blood and flesh to the jade-like yang meridian. The 76th yang meridian was unexpectedly born under the circumstances of the world's upheaval. The newly born yang meridian began to move towards the 75th yang meridian. Then it connected head to tail and became a part of the Tao wheel of heaven and earth. Another yang meridian was born. This meant that Su Fong had taken another step towards the completion of the Nine Suns transformation. At the same time, it meant that the cultivation of the universe within Su Fong's body, as well as his own strength, had increased greatly once more. However, Su Fong's heart was still heavy. The upheaval of the world was still ongoing. As the seventh blood sun rose into the sky, the environment for humans and other life forms of the universe would become even worse. Who knew how many lives would be lost and how many powerful existences would be revived? If he couldn't stop the upheaval from continuing, it would be meaningless even if he entered the exalted celestial mountain. Everything would be impossible to reverse. If it really came to that, Su Fong would find it difficult to leave this universe with his current strength. The only thing he could do was sit and wait for death. Next, Su Fong continued to cultivate the Nine Suns transformation to recover the yang qi he had used to create a yang meridian. In the chaotic divine world, Su Fong had killed almost 100,000 demons and Tao Defiance. Su Fong hadn't wasted a single bit of their blood and energy. Now, it was just right for him to use. He devoured it wantonly to continue cultivating his divine body and world tree. At the same time, Su Fong was also paying attention to everything outside through the eyes of Devil King Manotian. Around 3 months, another change occurred. The sky became dark once again, as if a curtain had been drawn, covering the entire sky. All the cultivators and the big goblin felt their hearts sink into a bottomless abyss. The Tao Defiants were shouting loudly, and they'd fallen into madness. If the 8th sun rose into the sky, then the sky barrier would collapse on its own. It wouldn't be long before the entire universe would fall into the hands of the Tao Defiance Alliance. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the darkness that covered the sky, and the divine sun with a blood-red glow appeared once again. At the same time, in addition to the 7 blood suns around him, another black blood spot appeared. The 8th blood sun was about to rise. However, unlike the appearance of the 7th blood sun, the appearance of the 8th blood sun was clearly restricted. The spots of blood continued to surge, expand, and shrink at the same time. It was as if there was an invisible hand trying to drag it back. It's the Mountain Guardian. He's trying to seal the 8th blood sun back. Although the Mountain Guardian is a transcendent being, the evil god can devour the heavenly Tao. He's a supreme being on the same level as a supreme heavenly venerate. It's very difficult to seal the 8th blood sun again. The blood sun must be sealed. Otherwise, there won't be any hope in the entire universe. I'm willing to sacrifice half of my life and strength to help the Mountain Guardian seal the blood sun. I'm willing to. Countless pairs of eyes were focused on the blood sun that was about to appear. The blood-red blood sun appeared in everyone's eyes. Many cultivators roared in their hearts. They would rather sacrifice their lives than see the blood sun appear again. The entire universe fell into a deathly silence at this moment. However, things didn't develop as they wished. The spots of blood in the sky grew larger and larger, dyeing the surrounding sky red. The eighth blood sun was about to appear irreversibly. Suddenly, the heavenly Tao is about to be destroyed. As the mountain guardian, I'm willing to transform myself into a seal and seal the evil god's descent. An old and solemn voice came from the highest point in the sky. It spread across the universe and resounded in everyone's mind. QL11, the mountain guardian. He actually wanted to transform himself into a seal and seal the evil god's descent again to prevent the eighth blood sun from rising. How solemn and stirring. The mountain guardian's resolute voice shook the universe. Senior, you mustn't. The supreme being of the imperial people roared loudly, his voice shaking the sky. The mountain guardian. Within the sky beacon god world, the human emperors in the river of two worlds, the humans, the big goblin, and other sentient life forms were all shocked. Then, they became solemn and respectful as they knelt towards the depths of the sky. Even the Tao Defiance had shocked and reverent expressions on their faces. Foolish. Even a transcendent being can't see through it, and did such a foolish thing. The ancestral fiend muttered. However, his eyes were also filled with shock and reverence. Grandfather. Xuanqi knelt on the ground as tears streamed down his face. If it weren't for the Mountain Guardian's help, Xuanqi wouldn't have died after leaving the Mountain Guardian spacetime. If he succeeded, he might have already died. Before leaving, the Mountain Guardian mentioned that he wanted to acknowledge Xuanqi as his granddaughter. Although the Mountain Guardian did this to win over Su Fong, Xuanqi was still grateful. Moreover, the Mountain Guardian had appeared to save Xuanqi when he was threatened by the three Supreme Emperors. Now that the Mountain Guardian was going to sacrifice himself, Xuanqi couldn't control his emotions and couldn't help but burst into tears. Su Fong, who was in the demon world inside Devil King Montian's body, also heard the Mountain Guardian's voice. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Even if the world's upheaval was difficult to stop and the universe fell into the hands of the evil god, the Mountain Guardian was a supreme being who transcended the universe. He could easily leave this world and head to outer space. However, he chose to sacrifice himself and use himself as a seal to stop the upheaval from happening. From the Mountain Guardian, Su Fong saw the Buddha of creation, Chu Bingyin's master, and Ksitigarbha Buddha. Su Fong's heart trembled. He was full of respect for the Mountain Guardian. At the same time, his heart was filled with murderous intent toward the evil god. I am the Mountain Guardian. I will die for the celestial, worthy mountain. I have no regrets about dying. Everyone, I will leave the rest to you. Don't let my death become worthless. Su Fong, I can only temporarily stop the evil god from breaking the seal. The only one who can change this is you. The future of the myriad worlds is in your hands. Don't let me down. The Mountain Guardian's voice gradually faded into the distance and finally disappeared into the sky. The new eighth blood sun that appeared in the sky seemed to be grabbed by an invisible hand and pulled into nothingness. It became fainter and fainter until it finally disappeared from the sky. Mountain Guardian. Countless living beings in a myriad of worlds cried loudly at the same time, and a tragic atmosphere suffused the heavens and the earth. Within the devil world, within Devil King Montian's body, Su Fong knelt in midair while his heart was filled with resolution. Senior, Su Fong will definitely do my best to complete Senior's instructions. It won't be long before I enter the celestial worthy mountain and find the truth behind the upheaval of the heavens and the earth. I'll definitely kill the evil god once I've attained mastery in my ability. What a laughable human. Do you think you can change the fate of the myriad of worlds just by stopping the eighth blood sun from rising? The Tao Defiance Alliance Master's voice that was filled with ridicule resounded from within the black coffin. Su Fong has been killed by me. Even if he's still alive, he's just an ant. What can he change? Once the Tao Defiance break through the sky barrier and transform the myriad of worlds into ruins, even an exalted celestial would be unable to change anything. The Tao Defiance Alliance Master's wild laughter resounded through the heavens and the earth. The seventh blood sun that had just risen suddenly emanated blood-red light and descended into the sky above the river of two realms. Another blood sun condensed around the 6 blood suns that floated in midair. There were a total of 7 blood suns, and they created a blood-red world that had completely transformed into an independent space controlled by the evil god's will. It was ceaselessly extending towards the sky barrier and nibbling away at it. The speed at which the sky barrier was being corroded sped up, and the laws of the heavenly Tao within the world were completely changed. The life force of the emperors who had charged into the river of two realms and the countless cultivators, Big Goblin, and devils who were shackled within the 9 suns life-exterminating formation was ceaselessly flowing away. It was even more difficult for them to communicate with the heavens and the earth and use their abilities, and their cultivations were suppressed to the limit. However, peerless experts at the Overgod realm and above had cultivated a world within their bodies, so they didn't need to obtain energy from the heavens and the earth. They could directly use the energy within their world to execute their abilities. So, while the human emperors were shackled within the blood-red world, it wasn't to the extent that they were unable to use their strength. However, the matter was far from over. The evil gods will descended once more from the 7 blood suns in the sky, and it was even stronger than before. It was even several times stronger. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 suns life-exterminating formation was activated once again. The life force of the cultivators, Big Goblin, and devils who were shackled within the small formations was rapidly sucked away by the formation and gathered at the center of the formation. This time, all the cultivators, Big Goblin, and devils who were shackled had their life force sucked away at a frenzied pace. In just 10 short breaths, all the cultivators, Big Goblin, and devils below the level of an ultimate god were quickly stripped of their life force and turned into skeletons. Those who were at the level of an overgod could still hold on, but they couldn't hold on for long. Even Su Fong, who was hiding in the devil world inside Devil King Mang's body, couldn't escape. After all, the divine secret life shrinking technique could only isolate the aura of destiny, but couldn't stop the vast power of the formation. The life essence in Devil King Mang's body was quickly devoured, leaving only an empty shell that could be blown away by a gust of wind. Su Fong's life force was also being sucked away by the formation's power. You want to devour my Su Fong? Not so easy. Su Fong gritted his teeth and used the divine secret life shrinking technique to sever his destiny connection with this part of the universe. At the same time, the divine power of the yin-yang world surged out of his body and formed a protective divine power that isolated him from the outside world. Su Fong had already transcended the shackles and restraints of heaven and earth. Although the 9 suns life-exterminating formation was incomparably powerful, it couldn't devour a life that transcended the heavenly axiom. This was Su Fong's supreme ability after coming back from the dead and transcending heaven and earth. Even supreme sovereigns couldn't achieve such a state of transcendence. However, this state couldn't be maintained for too long. At most, it would last for 10 breaths. After all, Su Fong's realm had transcended, but his divine body hadn't truly transcended. The universe in his body hadn't been fully formed, and he was still far from being a true transcendent. He couldn't transcend this part of the universe for too long. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The life force devoured by the formation turned into wisps of blood that surged wildly toward the center of the vast formation. Chapter 2491. In just 10 short breaths of time, inside the 9 suns life-exterminating formation, hundreds of millions of cultivators, monsters, demons, vitality, and primordial spirits were all devoured. Only corpses, dharma treasures, demonic artifacts, and demon artifacts were left floating in the formation. The 9 suns life-exterminating formation stopped operating as well. Regardless of whether it was the Tao Defiance or the human sovereigns, all of their attention was focused on the blood-red figure condensed from the evil god's will. No one paid any attention to the dead cultivators, Big Goblin, and devils. The blood on the blood-red figure surged and condensed into a physical body. This person had a devilishly handsome face, and his facial features could be said to be flawless. He had sharp eyebrows that were like swords, and his black hair was disheveled. His figure was well-proportioned and perfect. He looked like an ordinary person, but when he suddenly opened his eyes, there was a terrifying scene of the heavens and the earth being split apart and the universe evolving within his eyes. An extremely evil aura instantly enveloped the heavens and the earth. The evil god had borrowed the strength of the 8 blood-red suns and the blood of countless living beings to descend upon the world. Even though it was only a clone and not his true body, his aura was extremely vast and profound. Moreover, it transcended the heavens and the earth, and it surpassed the scope of the universe. Shockingly, it had reached the height of transcendence. This clone of the evil god was actually a transcendence realm being. He seemed to be slightly inferior to the mountain guardian, but he was still a transcendence realm being that even the heavenly Tao couldn't restrain. All the sovereigns and Tao Defiants of the Tao Defiance knelt towards the clone. "Greetings, supreme evil god." The Tao Defiance Alliance master flew out of the coffin and transformed into a green-robed middle-aged man as he knelt towards the clone. The clone suddenly looked at the human sovereigns with a disdainful gaze, and he emanated an imposing aura that ruled over the world. "I'll give all of you a choice now. Do you choose to submit or die?" The supreme imperial people roared furiously. "How can we human cultivators submit to an evil god and become your puppets? Looks like all of you have chosen to die." The doppelgangers suddenly laughed, and the color of heaven and earth instantly changed. A total of 7 blood suns suddenly erupted with blood-red light, enveloping a great saint of the demonic clan. A powerful devouring power erupted from the great saint of the demon race. His life, blood, demon chi, and primordial spirit were drained away like a flood. His physical body rapidly withered and soon turned into a pile of ashes that drifted away. After devouring a great saint of the demon race, the 7 blood suns became brighter and redder. At the same time, the aura of the incarnation also became stronger. To be able to kill an incomparably powerful great saint of the demon race with just a wave of his hand, the strength of this incarnation was truly terrifying. Master is mighty. Killing a great sage of the demon race is as easy as killing a chicken. Who in the entire universe can stop Master? The Tao Defiants cheered loudly. The expressions of the human emperors changed drastically, and fear filled their eyes. Although Emperor Masters were extremely powerful and stood at the peak of the myriad worlds, they were still human after all. In the face of the threat of death, who wouldn't be afraid? The incarnation can only exist by borrowing the power of Xie. I will go and entangle the incarnation. All of you will work together to shatter the blood suns and destroy the world of the incarnation. The incarnation will lose its source of power, and there is nothing to fear. The supreme being of the imperial people secretly transmitted his voice to the other emperors. Then he unleashed the power of the world, shattering the shackles of the blood-red world. The celestial mountain Dharma form appeared above his head, forming a universe of its own as it charged toward the incarnation with invincible power. The other emperors also launched fierce attacks against the 7 blood suns. Right now, I am the heavens. How can a bunch of ants defy the heavens? The incarnation sneered domineeringly. His figure flickered, and he disappeared from where he stood. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the supreme being of the imperial people. With a wave of his arm, he swept up a vision of heaven and earth collapsing and the universe shattering. A vast force of power crashed onto the supreme being of the imperial people. The supreme being of the imperial people had already reached the peak of the emperors. Although he hadn't transcended, he wasn't far from it. However, under the might of a casual strike from the descending avatar, the world of the Emperor clan unmatched existence rumbled and shattered. The exalted celestial mountain's magical projection lasted for an instant, and then it completely collapsed. Its defenses were also broken through. The the remaining might sending him flying into the sky, causing the sky to shake intensely. The incarnation was domineering and powerful. The power of a single attack was enough to send the supreme beings of all the worlds flying. The cultivators and great monsters of the sky beacon god realm, who were watching the battle from afar, were dumbfounded by Yun Che's strength. Even the supreme being of the imperial people couldn't stop the incarnation. Who among the human cultivators could stop its peerless power? Su Fong hid within the lifeless body of the barbaric heaven demon king. He returned to his normal state after transcending heaven and earth. He stared blankly at the scene of the supreme being of the imperial people being sent flying by the incarnation. He found it hard to believe. That incarnation is so powerful. The mountain guardian has already sacrificed himself. Who in all the worlds can be a match for that incarnation? Su Fong fell into complete despair. It was meaningless even if he went out now. He couldn't change the current situation. The human emperors attacked the Blood Suns fiercely, causing the Blood Suns to tremble. The entire blood-red world was shaking. Boom! Boom! Soon, 3 Blood Suns were shattered, but they reformed in the blink of an eye. These Blood Suns were formed from the power of the evil sun. Unless the evil sun was isolated, they would quickly reform even if they were shattered. The emperors of the Tao Defiance, the Tao Defiance Alliance Master, the Ancestral Fiend, and the other emperors of the Tao Defiance attacked the human emperors, preventing them from attacking the Blood Suns. This world and the universe will belong to me. How can a mere sky curtain stop me? The incarnation teleported in front of the sky curtain and punched at it. The 7 Blood Suns suddenly dimmed. The incarnation's punch contained the power of the entire blood-red world. It seemed like a simple punch, but it was like brute force. However, it contained a terrifying aura that could shatter everything. Rumble. The sky curtain shook violently, and the myriad worlds fell into violent tremors. The space-time on both sides of the sky curtain shattered. Miserable cries rang out in the sky beacon god world. Countless cultivators and Big Goblin were killed by the punch. The incarnation's punch had actually blasted a huge hole in the sky curtain that isolated the myriad worlds. However, the sky curtain had been created by the mountain guardian with the power of the exalted celestial mountain. It had fused with the world and the universe, so it had the ability to recover. Although a hole had been blasted open, it was rapidly recovering. It's broken. The sky curtain has been breached. Kill your way to the other side of the sky curtain. From now on, all lives in the myriad worlds are ours to devour. All worlds are ours to rule. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. All the Tao Defiance and countless experts of the Tao Defiance roared excitedly as they charged madly towards the sky curtain like a tidal wave. Is the myriad worlds going to be destroyed, just like that? Su Fong fell into boundless despair. It wasn't just Su Fong. Even the supreme existences of the imperial people were in complete despair. The only thing they could do now was to swiftly retreat to the Yuan Tiangong and defend the Yuan Tiangong to the death. The incarnation took a step forward and was about to enter the sky beacon god world through the hole. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the hole in the sky curtain. It was an old man in a simple gray robe. His hair and beard were white as snow, and his face was covered in wrinkles. He seemed like an old man who was on the verge of death. However, his aura was extremely ethereal, transcendent, and didn't belong to this universe. Whem. The Tao of Destiny flickered rapidly in Su Fong's mind when he saw this person, and tempestuous waves arose in his heart. QL11 at this moment. He already understood that the person who had erased the karma between him and Goddess Luo was this old man. Who exactly is he? Why did he erase the karma between me and Goddess Luo? What happened between me and Goddess Luo in the past? Countless doubts surged in Su Fong's heart. Then he transmitted his thoughts to Goddess Luo, who was inside the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, and used his divine might to let Goddess Luo see that scene. Goddess Luo said faintly, "That is my adoptive father, who came from beyond the heavens." The gods of this universe call him Patriarch Luo. Patriarch Luo. Su Fong thought to himself. No matter what the reason is, and no matter how powerful this Patriarch Luo is, I must find out everything. No one can control my fate as they wish. Seeing Patriarch Luo, the incarnation's calm expression finally turned serious. He also had doubts. You are not from this universe. You are from the Jioshuan Divine Realm. Why are people from the Jioshuan Divine Realm interfering with my matters? Patriarch Luo said faintly, Your original body sealed in the celestial worthy mountain naturally knows why I came to this universe. There's no need to explain anything to a mere incarnation like you. This universe belongs to me. No one can take it away. Even if you are from the Jioshuan Divine Realm, you cannot stop me. The incarnation shouted domineeringly and charged towards Patriarch Luo. Patriarch Luo suddenly raised his hands and formed a seal. A Dharma treasure that was less than a foot long appeared in front of him. The silver dagger emitted a silver xianguang, which revealed a transcendent and strange power. This power did not belong to this universe. It surpassed the shackles of this universe. Once the silver dagger appeared, the entire universe shook. The 8 blood suns in the sky, including the divine sun, dimmed instantly. Slash! Patriarch Luo said indifferently and slashed out with the silver dagger. Chi! The silver dagger slashed open a crack in the world of blood. It extended all the way and appeared in front of the incarnation in an instant. Chi! The incomparably powerful incarnation was also slashed into 2 by the silver dagger. It turned into blood light and dissipated. Su Fong was surprised. The incarnation was killed just like that? Goddess Luo said, How can the incarnation be killed so easily? Unless the projections of the 7 blood suns were destroyed, the clones that descended into the world of bloodlight would be undying and indestructible. However, the blood suns are formed by the power of the blood suns. If the blood suns are not separated from the projections, it is impossible to destroy them. Before she finished speaking, the incarnation was formed again in the world of blood. The incarnation laughed domineeringly. Expert from beyond the heavens, I am now the embodiment of the heavenly Tao of this universe. I am indestructible. You cannot kill me at all. As for you, you are from beyond the heavens and will be rejected by this universe. How long can you last against the entire universe and against me? Chapter 2492. The Luo ancestor said indifferently, I came to this universe for your main body, so why would I waste my strength on a mere clone like you? There's no need for me to kill you either. I just need to keep you busy and defend the sky barrier. I'll stop the Tao Defiance Alliance outside the barrier and thwart your scheme. You won't be able to defend the sky barrier while I'm here. The Tao Defiance Alliance will definitely destroy the myriad of worlds this time. At that time, I'll be able to escape from the exalted celestial mountain with ease and occupy this universe. The clone shouted domineeringly and charged towards the Luo ancestor. The 2 supreme existences that surpassed the heavens and the earth began to fight. The other experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance launched a fierce attack towards the gap in the sky barrier under the lead of the Tao Defiance Alliance Master. The human emperors outnumbered the Tao Defiance Alliance, and the might of their magic treasures suppressed the Tao Defiance. After all, the human cultivators had an extremely deep foundation. Which emperors didn't possess a peerless magic treasure that could destroy the world? It was even to the extent that extremely rare and powerful creation divine artifacts had appeared one after another. Moreover, the magic treasures of the human emperors had been fused with nether sand, so they possessed the ability to revive experts and send them back into the cycle of reincarnation. They pose an extremely great threat to the Tao Defiance and cause the emperors near immortality to lose their effectiveness. However, the supreme existences of the imperial people have been injured by the clone, while the Tao Defiance Alliance had the Tao Defiance Alliance Master and the Ancestral Fiend, who are quasi-transcendence experts. Moreover, the human cultivator's strength was suppressed in the world of bloodlight created by the 7 blood suns, but the Tao Defiance were the exact opposite. Not only were they not suppressed, their strength had increased instead, and they made up for the difference in numbers and magic treasures. For a time, the human emperors and the emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance were unable to suppress the other. Watch as I trample the sky, beacon divine world today. The ancestral fiend had transformed into a monster that was over 300 m tall. Devilish energy coiled around his body, while 3 heads grew out of his body. They were extremely ferocious and terrifying. Behind each head was a different devil image. It was the devil race's heavenly Tao avatar. The 3 devil images either erupted with a monstrous sea of blood, a sea of bones roared, or the formidable might of their souls. They destroyed the dozen or so human emperors and demon race great saints that besieged the ancestral fiend. Then the ancestral fiend charged towards the gap in the sky beacon divine artifact. Ancestral devil, with this emperor here, you can forget about taking a single step into the sky beacon god realm. A human Empyrean supremacy dressed in red robes blasted out an extreme, yang divine might. His body emitted golden light, as though he was a burning sun. He charged straight at the ancestral fiend and blocked his path. Emperor Xinjiang. Although Empyrean True Yang's cultivation level was not at the peak of the Empyrean realm, and the gap between him and the ancestral fiend was not small, he had grasped the great Tao of Yang. The divine might of the sun he released had a lethal suppressive effect on the fiend's strength, forcing the ancestral fiend to retreat repeatedly. The ancestral fiend was immediately alarmed. You are a descendant of the sun god race? The sun god race actually still has survivors in this world? Shocking. Fear. The solar divine race. It was the deadly nemesis of all evil existences, such as the devil race. In the ancient era, before the divine world was established, humans, demons, and other ancient gods lived in the ancient lands. At that time, there were 10 divine suns in the sky, and the ones who controlled the divine suns were the sun god race. In the war between humans and demons, it was precisely because of the sun god race's powerful strength that the fiend race was nearly wiped out. Later on, the peerless human expert, De Yi, suddenly sold the sun god race. He shot down 9 of the 10 divine suns, leaving only one hanging in the sky. Only then was the fiend race able to escape the calamity and retreat into the dark world. It was also because of the heavy losses suffered by the sun god race that the fiend race suffered a great loss. In the subsequent wars between humans and demons, they were always at a disadvantage. However, the once glorious sun god race also disappeared in the river of history, becoming a legendary existence. Unexpectedly, at this moment, a descendant of the sun god race actually appeared. Su Feng, who had been paying attention to the situation, was also very shocked. The origin sacred mirror was refined from 9 divine suns. Now that he saw a legendary descendant of the sun god race, and a peerless supremacy at that, how could he not be shocked? The supreme existence of the imperial people was instantly overjoyed. Good. I never expected Empyrean True Yang to be a descendant of the sun god race. With you here, we will definitely be able to resist the ancestral fiend. This time, we will definitely be able to avert danger. The leader of the Tao Defiance, who was fighting the supreme existence of the imperial people, roared with laughter. The sun god race? All those years ago, I shot down 9 suns and killed countless experts of the sun god race. You, a remnant of the sun god race, dare to show yourself? So the leader of the Tao Defiance was the founder of the Yi race, the Yi, who had shot down 9 suns. He had perished many years ago, and he had only been resurrected through the upheaval of the world. This emperor has been in seclusion for many years. This time, I have returned precisely to annihilate all of you demons, especially a despicable and shameless bastard like you. This emperor will definitely refine your soul, grind your bones, and scatter your ashes to take revenge for my race. Empyrean True Yang let out a thunderous roar. He was like the incarnation of a divine sun as he clashed with the ancestral fiend. Even though Empyrean True Yang's divine might countered the ancestral fiend was truly too powerful. Empyrean True Yang was unable to do anything to the ancestral fiend, but he was still able to successfully stop him outside the sky barrier. For a time, the battle between the human cultivators and the Tao Defiance entered stalemate. However, The hole in the sky barrier that had been torn open by the clone was swiftly healing. At this moment, it was less than 300 m wide. So long as the sky barrier was restored to its original state, the Tao Defiance would be stopped outside the sky beacon god world, and the situation would still be greatly advantageous to the human cultivators. Su Fong felt much more at ease when he witnessed this scene. After that, he looked at the 7 blood-red suns in the sky and was about to charge out of the formation. So long as the 7 blood-red suns were destroyed, it would be difficult for the clone to continue existing. Without the support of the Transcendence, the Tao Defiance attack would collapse on its own. The 7 blood-red suns were projections of the blood-red suns in the sky, and it was very difficult to destroy them. However, it wasn't difficult for Su Fong at all. No matter how strong the 7 blood-red suns were, how could they resist the might of the Origin Divine Mirror? However, right at this moment, another upheaval occurred. It didn't come from the battlefield of the Two-Realm River, and it came from within the sky beacon god world. The clone tore a hole in the sky barrier and killed countless gods and big goblin from the sky beacon god world. At this moment, the venerable Emperor Shao, Wanting, who was guarding the sky beacon god world, was guarding the hole in the sky beacon god world to prevent the experts of the Tao Defiance from entering. Whoosh! An elegant middle-aged man wearing a python robe flew towards the hole in the sky barrier. It was venerable Emperor Hao Yuan who was guarding the vast frost prison. Shao Wanting raised his white brows and asked, "Hao Yuan, why are you not guarding the vast frost prison? What are you doing here?" Venerable Emperor Hao Yuan cupped his fists and said, "The sky barrier is in danger." This emperor sealed the vast frost prison and came to help Emperor Shao. Shao Wanting nodded and said, "The sky barrier has been breached by the clone, and the sky beacon god world is in danger. It is good that you came to help this emperor." Before he could finish, venerable Emperor Haoyuan's divine light changed abruptly. The Tao Defiance are attacking. Shao Wanting raised his white brows and turned to look at the hole. At this moment, venerable Emperor Haoyuan suddenly attacked. He waved his hand, and a black rune talisman shattered beside Shao Wanting. Shocking, devilish poison rolled out and enveloped Shao Wanting. "Haoyuan, how dare you sneak attack this emperor? What kind of devilish poison is this? It is so shocking." Shao Wanting was shocked and angry. The devilish poison was like poisonous pythons, corroding his defense instantly. Once his divine body came in contact with the devilish poison, layers of skin fell off, and his flesh started to rot. Shao Wanting was a peak powerhouse in the endless heavens, and he also grasped an unrivaled thunder law. Amongst the numerous emperor powerhouses of Primordius Heavenly Palace, his strength was second only to the unrivaled Emperor clan. Under venerable Emperor Haoyuan's devilish poison, Shao Wanting was also heavily injured. The sudden change surprised and shocked the cultivators of the sky beacon god world and the big goblin. Emperor Han proudly said, "That devilish poison came from Lord Ancestor. His devilish poison is the most poisonous substance in the myriad of worlds. It can corrode anything." Shao Wanting, "Just wait for your death. Ha ha." Shao Wanting burst out with a thunderous roar. "Haoyuan, you have already rebelled." Venerable Emperor Haoyuan laughed and said, "If this emperor had rebelled, how could I hide it from the mountain guardian and Di Hao? However, this emperor has already submitted to the Tao Defiance Alliance and become a sharp blade of the Tao Defiance Alliance in the sky beacon god world. At the crucial moment, I will give the sky beacon god world a fatal blow." Shao Wanting circulated his divine essence and lightning flash to resist the devilish poison's corrosion. He shouted, "Haoyuan, you are a human cultivator. What benefits do you get from submitting to the Tao Defiance Alliance?" Benefits? The biggest benefit was that he would be able to survive. "You fools, the heavenly Tao has already been destroyed. The evil god has descended to replace the heavenly Tao and dominate the universe. Any resistance is meaningless. However, all of you went against the heavenly Tao and became enemies with the evil god. In the end, all of you can't escape death. Only this emperor can keep my life and become a giant in the universe in the future. I even have a chance to transcend." Venerable Emperor Haoyuan held his head high. His elegant face was filled with shamelessness at this moment. What a despicable and shameless venerable Emperor Hao Yuan. I thought the Guanghan venerable emperor was a spy in the sky beacon god world. I didn't expect it to be you, but it's fine. Since you have jumped out now, I can eliminate you to prevent future troubles. Xiao Wanting suppressed the poison and was about to attack venerable Emperor Hao Yuan. Venerable Emperor Han sneered disdainfully. Xiao Wanting, if this emperor wasn't well prepared, why would I expose my identity and attack you? Whoosh! Two figures walked out of the void. They were a middle-aged human cultivator and an old devil. Xiao Wanting's divine light changed again when he saw them. Tao Defiance, venerable Emperor Ku Xian and devil saint of the devil race. The human venerable emperor named Ku Xian was the Tao Defiant who was heavily injured by the wolf demon Xing Wei, controlled by Su Fong in the 10 underworlds. His physical body was destroyed by the wolf demon, and he was only able to escape with his yang spirit. At this moment, he had taken over another body. Although his strength was greatly reduced, he was still an venerable emperor. The devil expert named Mo Tian was even more shocking. He was a peerless great devil whose strength was second only to the ancestral devil. Since the ancestral devil rarely showed himself, the devil race was controlled by Mo Tian and Devil Saint. He had presided over several battles against human cultivators. His reputation among the humans was even greater than the ancestral devil. 3 venerable emperors from the Tao Defiance Alliance had infiltrated the sky beacon god world. How could the sky barrier be defended when they worked together from the inside? At this time, the sky beacon god realm was in a precarious situation. Chapter 2493. Emperor Xiao, the sky screen has been breached, and you humans are doomed. You're also poisoned. A wise man submits to circumstances, so why don't you quickly submit to the Tao Defiance Alliance? If you submit now, not only will you be able to keep your life, but you will also have a place in the upper echelons of the Tao Defiance Alliance. Perhaps the supreme evil god will help you reach the peak of the great Tao and transcend this universe. Emperor Ku Xian's withered eyes flickered with gray Xian Guang as he stared at Xiao Wanting and spoke in a voice filled with temptation. Xiao Wanting roared with laughter. I've always hated evil devils like you the most. I've always killed every single one of you that I see. Why would I submit to the Tao Defiance Alliance and become the slaves of that evil god who descended into the world? The Mountain Guardian is a supreme transcendence expert, yet he is willing to sacrifice himself for the great Tao. I am just an emperor who has no hope of transcending in this life, so why should I fear death? Come, this emperor can use you demons to fulfill this emperor's supreme great Tao. Xiao Wanting was completely fearless. He ignored his injuries and laughed as he charged towards Emperor Hao Yuan, Emperor Xian Ku, and Demon Saint Devil Sky. He was unafraid of death and was filled with heroism. Another reckless fool, Demon Saint Devil Sky, sneered in disdain as he charged towards the gap in the sky screen. Emperor Ku Xian and Emperor Hao Yuan charged towards Xiao Wanting and kept him busy so that he couldn't split himself. Demon Saint Devil Sky flew to the gap in the sky screen. At this moment, the gap that had been torn open by the descending clone had shrunk to a size of only 30 meters. Devil Sky and Devil Land. I am heaven and earth. Demon Saint Devil Sky let out a shocking roar that shook the surroundings. Then his body exploded as he frantically grew in reverse. His feet stepped on the bottom of the crack while his hands supported the top of the crack. He used his powerful physical body to forcefully open the crack. 20 meters, 50 meters, 1,000 meters, 3,000 meters. The Devil Sky Devil Saint transformed into a giant devil that was thousands of meters tall. He forcibly opened up a 1,000-meter-long crack in the sky that was about to recover. The Tao Defiance, devils, and other evil existences of the Tao Defiance Alliance erupted with cheers that shook the heavens, and their spirits were greatly refreshed as they charged towards the rift. All the Emperor Realm experts in the Sky Beacon God World and the River of Two Realms had fallen into despair. No one had expected the Tao Defiance Alliance to have such a scheme. Now that the Tao Defiance Alliance was working together, who could turn the situation around? Suddenly, Dixuan leaped out from the void and shouted, "Senior Mountain Guardian and Venerable Emperor Shao, Wanting aren't afraid of death. So why should we be? If the sky curtain is breached, no one will be able to survive. Everyone, chase this traitor Hao Yuan and the evil spirits out of the sky, beacon God realm." Immediately after, Xuanxin released his heavenly Tao avatar, and a huge ice phoenix phantom rose into the air. It let out a clear and resounding cry as it charged towards Sovereign Ku Xian, who was attacking Shao Wanting. Wang Tian under Yi Tianyang, Huang Lingyao, and Su Feng, dropping out of high school to talk back to you? What? Joking with Dad? Yin Shijun? Chigue said, "Pichimo. Bear Nursery of Polder? Yin Shijun?" The other cultivators and Big Goblin in the Sky Beacon God Realm were encouraged by Dixuan and the others. They charged towards the crack in the sky curtain with determination and fearlessness. However, many cultivators and Big Goblin secretly left the Sky Beacon God Realm and fled for their lives when they saw that the situation was unsalvageable. Su Feng finally made his move when the battle between the Sky Beacon God Realm and the River of Two Realms was at its most critical moment. "It's time for me to make my move." Su Feng shattered the remains of Devil King Barbaric Heaven, and the divine power of the world of Yin and Yang enveloped his body. He instantly transcended heaven and earth and wasn't bound by any power of nature. Even the powerful Nine Suns extermination formation couldn't stop him from passing through the formation. "As long as I destroy the 7 blood suns, I can turn the situation around." Su Feng took out the Eternity Chariot and jumped onto the seat. A powerful power that surpassed the limits of time erupted from the Eternity Chariot as it flew towards the blood suns hanging high in the sky. At this moment, the focus of the battle between the humans and the Tao Defiant Alliance was at the crack in the sky curtain. All the Tao Defiance, devils, and experts from other dark forces of the Tao Defiance Alliance had moved out in full force. Not a single person from the Nine Suns extermination formation was left behind. Su Feng appeared beside the blood suns on the Eternity Chariot, but no one noticed him. Su Feng put away the Eternity Chariot and flipped his right hand. The Origin Sacred Mirror appeared in his palm. "Origin Sacred Mirror, don't disappoint me this time." Su Feng used the Yin-Yang transformation seal to activate the Origin Sacred Mirror. Red and black patterns of Yin and Yang appeared on the surface of the mirror. A terrifying power that could change the Yin and Yang of heaven and earth and cause all things to revert to chaos enveloped the blood suns. The blood suns trembled violently under the might of the Yin-Yang transformation released by the mirror. It was like a ball of dark red blood was surging and boiling. Su Feng's perfect vision could see through the outer layer of bloodlight. He could faintly see the outline of the enormous tomb inside. He was shocked once more. Just what secrets are hidden in the blood suns released by the evil god? The Origin Sacred Mirror's power was shockingly effective against the blood suns. As soon as its power landed on the blood suns, it immediately melted the bloodlight like the sun shining on ice. Boom, boom, boom. The tomb within the blood suns seemed to have sensed the arrival of the end of the world. It erupted with an evil and terrifying power. This power came from beyond the heavens. It was powerful, evil, and surpassed the heavens and the earth. It actually shook the Origin Sacred Mirror's power loose. Do you think it's that easy to break free from the Origin Sacred Mirror's power? Su Feng controlled the Origin Sacred Mirror. The might of the Yin-Yang transformation suddenly increased by several times. It enveloped the blood suns and erupted with a shocking power. Chi, chi, chi. The bloodlight around the blood suns was peeled off layer by layer. It disintegrated into primal chaos chi and was devoured by the Origin Sacred Mirror. The tomb within the blood suns was also shattered by the Yin-Yang transformation's power. It turned into primal chaos chi and was absorbed by the Origin Sacred Mirror. Just like that, the blood suns that even venerable sovereigns could not destroy were easily destroyed by Su Feng using the Origin Sacred Mirror. Although it was said to be easy, it was actually not so easy for Su Fong. With Su Fong's current cultivation level and the fact that he had cultivated 76 yang meridians, the primordial chaos sacred mirror was 10 times more powerful than before. The consumption was also much lower, but it was still somewhat unbearable for Su Fong. There's still 6 blood suns. If I destroy them all, such a huge consumption is not something I can bear. Su Fong's face was pale. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He gritted his teeth. Now that things have come to this, I can only fight to the death. At this moment, the crimson surface of the origin sacred mirror rippled like a lake. A crimson bead appeared from within. It was different from the origin bead formed by devouring the big goblin and cultivators. The crimson bead that was refined from devouring the blood sun projection by activating the origin sacred mirror with the yin-yang change not only contained the origin yang qi of the origin sacred mirror, but also the yin-yang qi and the chaotic qi condensed from the chaotic qi. Su Fong swallowed the crimson bead without hesitation. A majestic power exploded in Su Fong's body. It was absorbed by the world tree and yang meridians. The entire Tao palace of heaven and earth was shaking. The power of the yin-yang world and the yang qi in the yang meridians used to activate the origin sacred mirror recovered rapidly in less than a breath's time. Almost half of the energy could not be absorbed by the world tree and yang meridians. It was condensed into a ball of energy by Su Fong and sealed in the Tao palace of heaven and earth. Su Fong was both surprised and delighted by this unexpected gain, and he didn't hesitate to teleport towards the second projection of the blood suns. The entire world of blood instantly weakened greatly after Su Fong destroyed the projection of the blood suns. The experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance would truly be too stupid if they didn't notice such an obvious change. Regardless of whether it was the human cultivators or the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance, all of them were astounded when they sensed the blood-red light in the sky of the blood-red world had suddenly become slightly dimmer. Even the clone raised his head with disbelief. The battlefield of the River of Two Realms fell into an instant of silence when they saw Su Fong appear by the side of the second projection of the blood suns. Who is that person? Why is his figure so familiar? He was actually able to destroy a projection of the blood suns? That person's aura has transcended? It's actually another transcended. Su Fong. He's Su Fong. Exclamations of surprise erupted like tidewater and swept towards the surroundings. At this moment, the eyes of the Tao Defiance Alliance Master, Devil Saint Fu Sha, and the Tao Defiance who pursued Su Fong in the 10 underworlds were filled with disbelief. Su Fong has returned. There's hope for the myriad of worlds. The supreme existences of the imperial people erupted with laughter that was filled with joy and delight, and their voices spread throughout the River of Two Realms and the sky beacon God world. Su Fong has returned. The myriad of worlds will not be destroyed as long as Su Fong is alive. The Emperor Realm experts on the battlefield of the River of Two Realms had already fallen into despair. At this moment, they completely lost the composure and dignity that Emperor Realm experts should possess, and they cheered loudly. The Luo ancestor stared at Su Fong while his muddy eyes emanated a strange glow. He's transcended. He's only at the Overgod realm, yet he's actually transcended this universe. He's extraordinary, extremely extraordinary. Perhaps he's really changed this universe that's about to be destroyed. The sky beacon God world. Through the sky, Xuanqin saw the figure in the sky above the blood-red world. His eyes, which seemed to be frozen, suddenly shone with a strange light. Dixuan laughed loudly. Su Fong, you're finally back. Master is mighty. Su Fong's saint is mighty. Heavens? Although I have no fate with you, you are still here? Ing Chundu, Qin Jue, Gue, and Dragonbird let out joyful cries, looking abnormally excited. The morale of the sky beacon God realm, which had been filled with sorrow and despair, instantly soared. Tianyang looked at Su Fong's figure with shock and jealousy in his eyes. This is the #1 genius of Yuan Tiangong, the only hope of the world. Su Fong? Humph, if I had the primordial chaos sacred mirror, I could also replace him. Su Fong? A mere lower overgod, an ant-like existence. Yet he possesses the aura of transcendence and has severed the karma of fate with the heavenly Tao. He's indeed extraordinary. The doppelganger's eyes flickered with blood-red light, and a look of astonishment appeared on his handsome face. However, you want to stop me with just a mere overgod? How laughable! Kill him and give me the primordial chaos sacred mirror. The doppelganger's voice was filled with an evil intent to kill. Swoosh! Swoosh! Chapter 2494. The humans had already fallen into despair, so how could they allow the emperors of the Tao Defiance to escape and kill Su Fong now that they finally had hope? Including the supreme existences from the imperial clans, all of them erupted with their full strength and utilized their trump cards to keep the Tao Defiance and the other experts of the Tao Defiance alliance busy. Moreover, with the return of Su Fong, all of their auras surged and suppressed the experts of the Tao Defiance. The emperors of the Tao Defiance could only use everything they had to deal with them, not to mention sending their clones to kill Su Fong. Even protecting themselves was a problem. As the Blood Sun projection was destroyed by Su Fong, the clone's strength had been weakened as well. It was barely able to hold on against Patriarch Luo's attacks. Stop attacking the sky barrier. Kill Su Fong first. As a result, the clone issued orders to the Tao Defiance, demons, and other experts of the evil forces of the Tao Defiance. At this moment, Su Fong's importance had surpassed the sky barrier. As long as they killed Su Fong, then even if the sky barrier remained intact, it would still be a complete victory. It might even be far more important than breaching the sky barrier. Swoosh! 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 Countless experts of the Tao Defiance turned around and swarmed towards Su Fong. It felt like Su Fong was a light in the darkness, and the experts of the Tao Defiance were like countless moths that blotted out the sky. It made Su Fong's scalp tingle. Although there were no emperors among the experts of the Tao Defiance, their numbers were uncountable. Moreover, there was no lack of higher lords or even peerless experts who were equivalent to peak overgods. However, Su Fong was only a lower lord, so how could he not be killed? At the very least, in the eyes of the clone, the leader of the Tao Defiance, and the other higher-ups of the Tao Defiance, that was definitely the outcome. Su Fong, we can't do this. Retreat immediately. The supreme existences of the imperial people called out to Su Fongda and unleashed the might of their world to restrain most of the experts of the Tao Defiance. Hiss! Hiss! The leader of the Tao Defiance seized this opportunity to attack. The 9 arrows that were stabbed into the diagram of the 9 divine sons on the black coffin shot out violently, and they launched a ferocious attack against the supreme existences of the imperial people. The supreme existence of the imperial people had already been injured by dissent, and now that he had diverted his attention to deal with Su Fong, his world and defenses had been shattered by the arrows of the Tao Defiance. One of the arrows had struck his right arm, and a might to devour his vitality immediately swept towards his divine body. Slash! The supreme existence of the imperial people made a prompt decision and broke his right arm. Only then was he able to dissolve the power of the arrow, but he fell into a state of serious injury. The other human Emperor Realm Masters all tried to stop him. However, there were simply too many experts from the Tao Defying Alliance, and even the Emperor Realm Masters couldn't stop all of them. A portion of the Tao Defying Alliance's experts managed to break through and launch an overwhelming wave of attacks at Su Fong. With so many masters attacking at the same time, even an Emperor Realm Master would have no choice but to dodge. Su Fong had no choice but to give up on his plan to destroy the Blood Sun projection. He took a step forward and vanished without a trace. Space and laws are about to shatter under such a powerful attack. He actually merged with the heavenly Tao and traveled through space. He's courting death. Many of the Tao Defiance Alliance's experts believed that Su Fong was doomed. God teleportation was a technique that allowed one to instantly travel through space by merging with the heavenly Tao. Any Tao integration realm god could use it. However, this ability couldn't be used at all times. Some peerless sovereigns and supreme sovereigns could use their divine might to lock down space and time and prevent gods from teleporting. Moreover, if they encountered a powerful attack while teleporting, then it was very likely that they would be torn apart by the power of the heavenly Tao in space. Su Fong had merged with the heavenly Tao and teleported in the face of a powerful attack that even an Emperor Realm Master would have to dodge. Wasn't that just courting death? But in the next second, Su Fong suddenly appeared amidst the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance. Transcendence. It was the result of Su Fong cutting off the karma between him and the universe. After he reconstructed his god body, he had the power of a transcendent realm expert. He could transcend this world in just a blink of an eye. Although the attacks of the Tao Defiance Alliance's experts were extremely powerful, they were still limited by the universe. So how could they cause any harm to Su Fong? However, there was a limit to this ability, and he could only maintain it for a dozen breaths of time at most. He couldn't move as freely as a true Transcendence Realm Master. What divine ability is this? The experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance instantly panicked. All of you, Su Fong's cold voice, which was filled with killing intent, resounded. Boom! The tree of Dharma rose from his head and quickly transformed into a real, towering tree. Its divine might covered 100,000 miles and enveloped at least 1,000,000 Tao Defiance Alliance's experts. Chi! 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 Countless roots suddenly stretched out from the roots of the tree of Dharma, and they stretched out swiftly and instantly covered the area covered by the divine might of the tree of Dharma. The experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance noticed to their astonishment that the divine might emanated by Su Fong's tree of Dharma was actually a type of energy that surpassed the world. It was extremely powerful and strange, and their defenses became extremely weak within the tree of Dharma, while their strengths were suppressed to the limit. The roots wrapped around the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance, while some even pierced through their bodies. The tree of Dharma suddenly trembled violently, while the leaves and fruits on it shook violently. Hiss! 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 The blood energy and energy of the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance surged madly towards the tree of Dharma from the roots. The tree of Dharma was like a monster that was madly devouring the vitality and energy of the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance. After devouring so much vitality and energy, the trunk of the tree of Dharma was ceaselessly expanding while its leaves bloomed with all sorts of xianguan. The fruits of the tree of Dharma became even more plump and overflowed with xianguan. It was a magnificent sight. Around 10 seconds later, most of the experts below the overgod level had their vitality and energy sucked dry by the tree of Dharma, turning them into dried corpses. Only overgods had the ability to resist it. After Su Fong became an overgod, the might of the tree of Dharma had undergone a qualitative change as well. It now possessed a shocking ability to devour. QL11 boom, 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 boom. The exports of the Tao Defiance Alliance within the tree of Dharma and beyond the range of the divine might unleash a flurry of attacks. The divine might of the world from the tree of Dharma was constantly being shattered under the attacks of so many experts. All of you, Su Fong's voice was like a death sentence as strands of Yang's soul flew out of his main body's aperture and fused with the fruits of the tree of Dharma. The fruits of the tree of Dharma that contained various powerful abilities erupted with terrifying abilities that could destroy the world. All the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance within the range of the divine might of the tree of Dharma were instantly devoured. Apart from the three-peak overgods who managed to escape, none of the others were able to. They were all slain by the might of the tree of Dharma. The might of Su Fong's strike had completely cleared out the surrounding area of 100,000 kilometers. Su Fong had actually become so powerful after becoming an overgod. The experts of the overgod level were unable to withstand a single blow from him. This was partly because the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance had underestimated him, allowing Su Fong to kill his way into their midst. The tree of Dharma had suddenly erupted with power, absorbing the life and energy of many experts before unleashing a terrifying attack. However, Su Fong had managed to kill 1,000,000 experts in a short amount of time. Such terrifying power was more than enough to prove his strength. Although Su Fong did not consume a lot of energy after using the Tree of Dharma, he would not be able to use the power of the Tree of Dharma for a short period of time. My strength doesn't just come from the heavenly way, Dharma. Su Fong smiled in a domineering manner. He flew toward the projection of a blood-red sun before taking out the sacred mirror of origin. His clone bellowed out furiously, "Stop him!" The experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance who had been stunned by Su Fong's terrifying strike were originally filled with fear, but under the orders of his clone, they were forced to charge towards Su Fong again. Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Su Fong fused the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda with his body. He used the might of the universe within him to erupt with the might of the treasure. The Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda was Su Fong's personal treasure. After fusing with the God artifact, it had been nourished in his internal world. At the same time, it had devoured countless natural treasures of the world, including hell sand. The Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda was different from the previous personal treasures. Apart from being able to fuse the powers of the experts within it with Su Fong, it could also amplify Su Fong's might. In that moment, a universe of the world appeared within the world of blood-red light. A world that surpassed the scope of the world was opened up within the world of blood-red light, and the projection of the blood-red sun was absorbed into it. A wave of attacks landed on Su Fong's world. The world constantly shook and shattered, but it did not collapse. With the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda stabilizing the world, Su Fong used the yin-yang transformation to activate the origin sacred mirror once more, and its might enveloped the blood-red sun. No matter how the projection of the blood-red sun struggled and resisted, it was unable to resist the might of the origin sacred mirror. In the end, it was disintegrated into chaotic qi that was absorbed into the mirror's internal space. It was then refined into a scarlet pearl. Boom! Su Fong's world shattered under the attacks of the countless experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance. Su Fong staggered. His face became as pale as a sheet of paper, and his aura withered. Using the yin-yang transformation to activate the origin's sacred mirror, and having his world destroyed had drained him to an astonishing level. However, he had succeeded in destroying another projection of the blood-red sun, and the power of the blood-red world was weakened once more. Even the strength of his clone had fallen greatly. Su Fong, this lord swears to kill you. The clone was shocked and angry. He had lost his previous calm and domineering demeanor. If this continued, Su Fong would destroy a few more projections of the blood-red sun, and his plan, which was about to succeed, would fail on the verge of success. How could he not be angry? Descendant, you should first consider your own life and death. Ancestor Luo chuckled. He activated the silver knife again and launched a fierce attack on the clone. Demon Saint Fu Sha, who was fighting two human emperor masters, had a flash of demonic light in his eyes. Ruthlessness and determination flashed in his eyes. His body wriggled, and like a snake shedding its skin, he shed a layer of skin from his body. His body, which was like an empty shell, erupted with powerful strength that was comparable to the main bodies, and forced the two human emperor masters to retreat. Chapter 2495. Su Fong. Looking at Su Fong from afar, Demon Saint Fu Sha shouted coldly, "I didn't expect you to be able to come back from the dead. This is really beyond my expectations. However, since you escaped from death, you didn't run for your life. Instead, you came here to die. This is extremely stupid. Since I couldn't kill you in the 10 Serenities, how can I let you escape this time?" As Demon Saint Fu Sha spoke, he activated the powerful demonic blade. Su Fong secretly used the 9 Suns' 9 transformations. He used the World Tree in Yang Meridian to madly absorb the primordial Yang Qi and chaotic energy in the Crimson Beads. He used the primordial chaos sacred mirror to devour 2 blood sun projections and refined a total of 2 crimson beads. There was still a small part of the first bead left, which was just enough to recover his huge consumption. The scarlet bead contained a shocking amount of yang qi and primal chaos energy. The speed of recovery was also extremely shocking. Hearing Demon Saint Fu Sha's clamor, Su Fong sneered disdainfully. Demon Saint Fu Sha, you can't kill me, Su Fong. On the contrary, I'll send you to reincarnation this time. Arrogant. This time, I'll refine your divine body into a demonic puppet and burn your primordial spirit with demonic flames for an era. Kill. As soon as Demon Saint Fu Sha's murderous voice sounded, the demonic blade light was like a black river of stars that slashed down at Su Fong. Demon Saint Fu Sha's full-powered attack could cut the Nether River in half and kill a supreme sovereign. Whoosh! Su Fong escaped into the void and disappeared without a trace. The demonic blade light missed and tore the void apart, tearing a huge crack in the world of bloodlight. Only transcendents have this ability. Demon Saint Fu Sha's divine light changed instantly. His eyes revealed an incredulous look as great waves surged in his heart. Cultivators cultivated to seek the pinnacle of the great Tao and obtain immortality. However, this goal was inevitably ethereal and not specific enough. Most cultivators couldn't even touch the edge of the pinnacle of the great Tao in their lifetime. They didn't even know what the so-called pinnacle of the great Tao looked like. For Emperor Realm Masters, they were already standing at the peak of the Great Path. However, they knew very well that this so-called peak was only the highest point of this world. The true peak was to transcend the shackles of this world and go beyond it, to be free and unrestrained. How difficult would it be to truly transcend? Since the creation of heaven and earth and the birth of life in the universe, how many people could truly transcend this universe? In the past, whether it was the resurrected powerhouses or the demon race, they only regarded Su Fong as a genius who could pose a threat. Placing him at the top of the assassination list was already a sign of their respect for him. In 9 Hells, the Tao Defiant Alliance had sent 9 emperors to hunt down Su Fong, and even the Tao Defiant Alliance leader had used his unshackled doppelganger. In the end, the Tao Defiant Alliance had suffered heavy casualties. Now, Su Fong had actually transformed into a transcendence being. How could this not shock Demon Saint Fu Sha? He has the cultivation of a master god, but he has reached the realm of transcendence. Su Fong is truly heaven-defying. If we don't kill him, he will definitely change the heavens. Demon Sage, fuming evil's killing intent, soared to the heavens. Bang! Su Fong's figure appeared around 100,000 kilometers behind Demon Sage, fuming evil. You haven't truly transcended the heavens and the earth. You've just temporarily escaped the heaven Tao, yet your strength is still a mere lesser master god. Wouldn't it be a joke if I couldn't even do anything to you? Demon Sage, fuming evil, deserved to be a resurrected powerhouse that was second only to the Tao Defiance Alliance leader. He discerned Su Fong's ability with a single glance, and he immediately scoffed at Su Fong. Shocking devilish aura surged out from his body, and then violent and evil devilish might instantly envelop Su Fong and formed a devil domain that shackled Su Fong within it. Unexpectedly, Su Fong's figure flashed, and he actually disregarded the shackles of Demon Sage, fuming evil's devil domain, and vanished without a trace. At this moment, he transcended the heavens and the earth, and even the universe was unable to form any restraints on him, let alone Demon Sage, fuming evil. When Su Fong appeared once more, the ancestral fiend blood plate whistled out and appeared above Demon Sage, fuming evil. Ancestral fiend blood plate. That's my ancestral fiend blood plate. Demon Sage, fuming evil, instantly recognized the ancestral fiend blood plate. It was the ancestral fiend blood plate that he'd spent 10,000 years of painstaking effort on, and he'd even asked the Tao Defiant Alliance leader to personally obtain the blood of an ancestral fiend from an ancestral fiend in order to improve its quality. At this moment, Demon Sage, fuming evil, was both shocked and furious. You're that night demon who snuck into my devil domain and stole the ancestral fiend blood plate. Night demon, Su Fong scoffed at him. You were too stupid. You actually didn't notice when I snuck into your devil domain, and you even made me a devil king that's ranked at the 13th position. If it wasn't for the fact that I didn't want to alarm the Tao Defiance Alliance, then not to mention the ancestral fiend blood plate, I could even take your head at any moment. Demon Sage, fuming evil, instantly came to a sudden understanding. Devil King Barbaric. You're actually that Devil King Barbaric. Damn it. It was the demon transformation technique. I was too careless, and I actually suffered such a huge loss. I took the ancestral fiend blood plate just now. This time, I'll take your life. Su Fong displayed the lofty aura of a peerless overlord of a great world. The Yang spirit entrenched in the ancestral fiend blood plate activated the ancestral fiend blood plate, and dark demonic energy instantly enveloped Demon Sage, fuming evil. The divine might of the origin spirit poured out like a vast ocean, enveloping Demon Sage, fuming evil. Although Demon Sage, fuming evil, was extremely powerful, he was still a reincarnated powerhouse after all. Although he had defied the heavenly Tao with the help of the evil god's power and obtained a new life and a new body, his origin spirit was far from being as powerful as an emperor powerhouse of the same level. Moreover, Demon Sage, fuming evil, had personally upgraded the ancestral fiend blood plate to become the #1 origin spirit magic treasure in the universe. So how terrifying was its power? The current ancestral fiend blood plate could even threaten the peerless existences of the imperial people, the strongest powerhouses in the universe, let alone Demon Sage, fuming evil. Demon Sage, fuming evil's origin spirit was suppressed, and the world immediately shook and shook. He could only use most of his energy to stabilize the defenses of his divine aperture. At this moment, Su Fong's original body suddenly attacked. He took a step forward, and the divine destruction fist carried a terrifying aura that could destroy everything in the universe as it ruthlessly bombarded Demon Sage, fuming evil's body. As expected of an extremely powerful reincarnated Demon Sage, his body was extremely tough. Under the power of Su Fongda's divine destruction fist, although Demon Sage, fuming evil's body, was shaken and cracks appeared, it didn't shatter. Boom, boom, boom. Su Fong threw punch after punch, wildly attacking Demon Sage, fuming evil's body. No matter how strong Demon Sage, fuming evil's body was, it began to shatter under Su Fong's frenzied attacks, and demonic blood splattered everywhere. Looking from afar, Demon Sage, fuming evil, looked like a sandbag being ravaged and ravaged by Su Fong. He was in a very miserable state. This scene made everyone feel incredulous. Su Fong is actually so shockingly powerful that he can actually crush a reincarnated Demon Sage. Even the supreme existences of the imperial people were filled with disbelief. How can a mere overgod possess such shocking strength? The experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance, from the descended avatars to the Tao Defiance Alliance Master and other experts, were all dumbfounded. Their eyes were filled with surprise and shock. Master is mighty. Master is invincible. Holy Son Su Fong is mighty. Thunderous cheers immediately erupted in the Sky Beacon God realm when they saw this scene. Su Fong, you've actually become so powerful? How am I supposed to catch up to you? Xuanqin smiled helplessly and could only sigh in his heart. My Tao companion is simply a monster. Di Xuan and the others were all stunned. Yi Tianyang's eyes were filled with jealousy as he looked at Su Fong. The strength that Su Fong displayed caused the originally life-or-death battle to suddenly become cold and cheerless. The two experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance who had snuck into the Sky Beacon God realm, Emperor Ku Xian and Emperor Hao Yuan, who had betrayed the human race, were all dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Su Fong, don't go too far. Demon Sage Fu Sha was completely enraged. Demonic flames surged from his body as he tried to counterattack Su Fong. However, the ancestral devil blood plate's power erupted and shook his divine aperture. At this moment, the second primordial spirit shot out from the ancestral devil blood plate and forcefully and domineeringly broke through the defenses of demon sage Fu Sha's divine aperture. The second primordial spirit had devoured an extremely powerful night demon. The current power of the second primordial spirit was enough to contend with the supreme existences of the imperial people, who were peak emperors. Now that the second primordial spirit had invaded his divine aperture, it meant that doomsday had arrived for demon sage Fu Sha. The second primordial spirit was fighting in demon sage Fu Sha's mind, while Su Fong launched an even fiercer attack from the outside. Demon sage Fu Sha looked like he wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. How can a mere lesser master god like you be so arrogant in front of such emperors? It was demon sage Mo Tian. Seeing that demon sage Fu Sha was in danger, he attacked Su Fong through the gap in the sky. Demon sage Mo Tian had originally planned to hold the gap in the sky and let the resurrected experts attack the sky beacon god realm. However, the moment Su Fong appeared, the entire situation was completely reversed. All the experts of the Dao Defiance Alliance below the Emperor's level attacked Su Fong. Demon sage Mo Tian was like a clown holding the sky and wasting his energy. Therefore, he couldn't hold back any longer and attack from the sky. This meant that the Dao Defiance Alliance had given up on attacking the sky, and the plan that they had carefully planned for 10,000 years had been ruined. Boom! Demon sage Mo Tian's terrifying demonic body, which was 3,000 meters tall, shuttled through the void with a terrifying aura. He stretched out a demonic palm and slapped Su Fong as if he was swatting a fly. A shocking demonic power that could overturn heaven and earth descended. Su Fong was about to use his divine power to escape when his body was swept by the demonic palm's power. He was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. Puff! Su Fong spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. His divine body and bones were shattered by demon sage Mo Tian's shocking palm. His organs were shaken, and his flesh and blood were turned into paste. No wonder he was the strongest expert of the demon race below the ancestor demon realm. He had severely injured Su Fong with just one attack. You're just an ant in front of this saint. Let's see how you can still be arrogant. Demon sage Mo Tian shouted domineeringly and sneered at Su Fong. Is that so? Su Fong calmed down a lot when he saw the sky was quickly healing. He used blue sky underworld and turned his body into a blood state. After a series of whooshing sounds, his almost shattered body was restored to its normal state. However, this injury had consumed nearly a third of his vitality and blood energy. QL11 Fortunately, Su Fong's vitality and blood energy were extremely vast. Losing a third of his vitality and blood energy would cause an ordinary cultivator to completely lose their combat power. However, for Su Fong, it was still within the range that he could barely bear. You want to suppress Su Fong? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Su Fong used Giant Diamond Body. Golden electric currents flashed wildly on his body, and his body grew crazily. He quickly turned into a golden giant that was 300 meters tall. There were mysterious golden heavenly marks on the surface of his divine body, and he was wearing a golden cloak. He looked majestic, like a god of war had descended. Chapter 2496. Devil Sky Devil Saint. He was the number one peerless great devil under the ancestral fiends. His strength was astounding. Su Fong had actually used the greater gigantification Vajra body to clash with Devil Sky Devil Saint. The greater gigantification Vajra body did not mean that the bigger the body, the stronger the strength. Su Fong's greater gigantification Vajra body could also reach a size of 10,000 feet, like Devil Sky Devil Saint. However, that would make it appear clumsy. 1,000 feet was more suitable. Herculean Divine Palm. Su Fong took a huge step forward as his arms trembled, striking out golden palm prints. You actually have such an astounding physical divine ability. Extraordinary, very extraordinary. However, you are still not qualified to fight me with physical divine abilities. One hand to hold up the sky, one palm to destroy the sky. Great barbarian sky, overturning seal. Devil Sky Devil Saint laughed maniacally as he struck out a shocking black palm print that was 10,000 feet in size. It was filled with monstrous fiendish aura as it slammed down at Su Fong. Boom, boom, boom. The fiendish palm and Su Fong's Herculean divine palm clashed, erupting with power that shook the world. It shattered the bloody world created by the blood sun projection layer by layer. The Herculean divine palm was shattered by the fiendish palm, while the gigantic fiendish palm was drained of its strength by the golden palm. The aftershocks of the clash sent Su Fong flying 1,000 miles away. Su Fong was clearly at a disadvantage in this clash. This was obviously not because the Herculean divine palm was inferior to Devil Sky Devil Saint's great barbarian sky overturning seal, but because the difference in strength between Su Fong and Devil Sky Devil Saint was just too great. It was not something a divine ability could make up for. I still thought you could really defy the heavens. Devil Sky Devil Saint laughed maniacally in disdain. He strode forward and tore through space as he crushed towards Su Fong. Su Fong revealed a determined expression as he charged towards Devil Sky Devil Saint. He used the greater gigantification Vajra body to clash with Devil Sky Devil Saint again. Boom, boom. A giant with monstrous fiendish aura clashed with a golden giant in the bloody world. The fiendish light and golden light illuminated the world and shook the world. After more than 10 clashes, Su Fong was sent flying. His golden cloak was torn apart, and cracks appeared on his body. This exchange had left him in a heavily injured state. Mo Tian and Mo Sheng's huge demonic body was also covered in wounds. However, compared to Su Fong, these wounds were nothing. Defeated? Su Fong was actually defeated? The Demon Saint is one of the few pinnacle experts in the demon realm. Su Fong has only just ascended to become a chief god. The fact that he's able to confront such an expert is enough to show how extraordinary he is. How can a mere sovereign fight against the supreme experts of our demon race? Kill Su Fong. On the battlefield of the Two Realms River, the Human Emperor Realm Masters and the Tao Defiance Alliance's Masters were fighting while paying attention to the battle between Su Fong and Mo Tian and Mo Sheng. The hearts of the human emperors sank when they saw that Su Fong was heavily injured, and the emperors of the Tao Defiance Alliance started to clamor loudly. Mo Tian and Mo Sheng laughed complacently. Human kid, this saint is going to devour your vitality bit by bit and tear your soul into pieces. Su Fong took out a crimson pearl and swallowed it, quickly recovering the energy of the world of Yin and Yang and the energy of the 9 suns. Then he took out the Universe Chariot. The Universe Chariot. The Tao Defiance Alliance Master's expression changed when he saw the Universe Chariot. Only now did he realize that the Emperor Realm Master he'd left in the 10 underworlds had died at Su Fong's hands. Su Fong, even the Origin's sacred mirror can't save you today, let alone the Universe Chariot. Mo Tian and Mo Sheng sneered disdainfully and charged at Su Fong once more. Su Fong activated the Universe Chariot and erupted with the power of time. The wheels rolled and crushed everything. Boom, boom, boom. Mo Tian and Mo Sheng actually used their physical bodies to collide with the might of the Universe Chariot, and they shattered the wheel tracks formed by the River of Time. The Universe Chariot was shaken to the point of being unable to move forward. However, the Universe Chariot's shocking might had injured Mo Tian and Mo Sheng quite badly, and his body revealed an aura of age and decay. Meanwhile, Mo Sheng Fu Sha had broken free from the shackles of the ancestral devil blood plate, and he charged at Su Fong from the right. Su Fong, remember, it's Mo Tian and Mo Sheng who are going to kill you. Mo Tian and Mo Sheng disregarded their injuries and charged at Su Fong. Su Fong suddenly revealed a domineering smile and said murderously, "You're the one who should die, Mo Tian and Mo Sheng. Remember, it's I, Su Fong, who's going to kill you." As soon as he finished speaking, hiss, a ray of devilish saber chi slashed fiercely at Mo Tian and Mo Sheng. It was actually Mo Sheng Fu Sha, and he'd suddenly launched a lethal attack at Mo Tian and Mo Sheng. Mo Tian and Mo Sheng had focused all their attention on Su Fong, so they didn't expect that Mo Sheng Fu Sha would suddenly attack, and the devilish saber chi slashed his body. Although his body was extremely powerful, Mo Sheng Fu Sha's devilish saber chi was also extremely powerful. When the devilish saber chi slashed open the defense of his powerful body, it felt as if a saber had slashed a mountain. Mo Tian and Mo Sheng's right arm was cut off, and the saber chi tore a gash in their body, causing blood to spurt out like a mountain torrent. Fu Sha, Mo Tian, and Mo Sheng let out an earth-shattering scream. At this moment, under the control of Su Fong's yang spirit, the ancestral devil blood plate erupted with waves of primordial spirit and swept towards Mo Tian and Mo Sheng. Mo Sheng Fu Sha's pupils suddenly burst out with primordial spirit might, which condensed into a primordial spirit spear and shot at Mo Sheng Fu Sha's glabella, breaking his divine aperture and severely injuring his primordial spirit. Second primordial spirit. It turned out that Su Fong's second primordial spirit had used the power of the ancestral devil blood plate to seize Mo Sheng Fu Sha's body, and then launched a sneak attack on Mo Tian and Mo Tian. Fatal attacks followed one after another. Just as Mo Tian and Mo Sheng's primordial spirit was severely injured, Mo Sheng Fu Sha wielded his devilish saber and split Mo Tian's head open. Mo Tian's primordial spirit was shattered by Mo Tian's second primordial spirit's charm god soul absorption seal. However, Mo Tian and Mo Tian's body erupted with astonishing devilish aura, which escaped into the void and teleported several million miles away. Then, another head quickly grew out of his body. He was indeed worthy of being the strongest expert of the devil race below the ancestral devil realm. He could actually hide his primordial spirit in his devilish body and not in his divine aperture. He could actually survive such a serious injury. However, Mo Tian and Mo Tian's primordial spirit had been severely injured, and they had completely lost their combat ability. It was unknown how many tens of thousands of years it would take for them to recover. After witnessing this scene, whether it was the battlefield of the Two-Realm River or inside the Sky Beacon God world, there was dead silence. A mere master god actually managed to severely injure a top expert of the devil race. Is this Su Fong's strength? Why did Mo Tian and Mo Tian suddenly change sides and attack Mo Tian and Mo Tian? The clone, the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance, the peerless existences of the imperial people, and the many human cultivators were all dumbfounded. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The sovereigns of the Qi people and the sovereigns of the Yi clan trembled with fear when they saw this scene. Su Fong has actually become so powerful. What should we do if he pursues the matter of killing his partner after the battle? Yi Tianyang was extremely shocked in his heart. His previous unwillingness to submit to Su Fong instantly vanished into thin air. Whoosh, Su Fong ignored his injuries and charged towards the third projection of the Blood Sun. Kill Su Fong at all costs. The clone let out a thunderous roar, and the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance finally snapped out of their daze and charged towards Su Fong without any regard. Mo Tian's second primordial spirit controlled Mo Tian's demonic blade and slashed down, killing over 1,000 experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance. However, the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance weren't afraid of death. They didn't even hesitate to self-detonate as they surged towards Su Fong like a tide. Mo Tian unleashed his full strength, and Su Fong's yang spirit also unleashed the power of his primordial spirit. They stopped the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance and bought Su Fong an opportunity. Su Fong used the yin-yang transformation again and activated the Origin Sacred Mirror. Its power enveloped the Blood Sun projection. Under the supreme power of the Origin Sacred Mirror, the Blood Sun projection was quickly disintegrated and turned into chaotic energy that was devoured by the mirror. Activating the origin sacred mirror again exhausted Su Fong greatly. He staggered, and his aura became weak. He looked like he was at the end of his rope. There were a total of 7 blood sun projections. At this moment, 3 of them had been devoured by Su Fong's origin sacred mirror. The world of blood light instantly became blurry, and the aura of the clone had clearly become much weaker. The patriarch of Luo laughed out loud. Reincarnation? You wouldn't have thought that the plan you've meticulously prepared this time would be forcefully reversed by a lower-rank lord. Su Fong is your fatal nemesis. Ha ha. Turn the situation around? Oomph. Let's see who has the last laugh. The clone roared furiously. Everyone of the Tao Defiance Alliance, listen up. If Su Fong doesn't die today, then wait for my wrath of thunder. The experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance were all trembling with fear. The Tao Defiance that had besieged Su Fong seemed to have gone mad, and they attacked without holding back. Bang! Devil Saint Fumi was unable to stop the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance that were attacking him like a swarm of locusts. Coupled with the fact that Su Fong had heavily injured him earlier, Su Fong's body collapsed under the joint attacks of so many experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance, and he perished on the spot. Su Fong withdrew his second origin divinity and ancestral fiend blood disk, and then his figure was enveloped by the divine might of the world of Yin and Yang. He instantly transcended the world and teleported into the crowd of experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance. Whoosh, as soon as he appeared, Su Fong immediately formed seals and transformed into a river of blood. Blood surged within the river of blood and erupted with shocking, devouring might. In an instant, the blood of a few dozen experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance was instantly devoured clean. Swish! 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 The river of blood surged and devoured the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance wherever it passed, and their flesh was swiftly corroded and devoured. QL11, these experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance had relied on their numbers to even kill Devil Saint Fumi, who had been possessed by his second origin divinity. Never had they imagined that they would actually become materials for Su Fong's recovery. In just a short period of 15 minutes, no less than 10,000 experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance had been devoured by Su Fong. Swish! The river of blood swiftly shrank and transformed back into Su Fong's body, and he gazed arrogantly and indifferently at the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance. He was heavily injured just now, but he'd actually recovered by more than half now. Su Fong withdrew a crimson-red pearl from the Chaos Divine Mirror and swallowed it, and then he shouted in a domineering and cold manner, "Come at me if you're not afraid of death." All the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance were terrified by Su Fong's divine might, and all of them revealed expressions of fear and instinctively moved backwards. "Su Fong, I swear that I'll kill you." The master of the Tao Defiance Alliance fell into a state of rage. He activated the black coffin, causing it to rumble and explode, and its shocking might blasted the supreme existences of the Imperial people flying. After breaking free from the supreme existences of the Imperial people, the master of the Tao Defiance Alliance instantly teleported 50,000 kilometers away from Su Fong, and then a black Xian Guang swept out and transformed into a damaged black book. It erupted with a black Xian Guang, while a strand of the divine might of the Order of the Heaven Tao enveloped Su Fong. The Hell Suppression Codex. Chapter 2497. He actually intends to use my magic treasures to suppress me? A strand of fierce energy surged out from Su Fong's heart. The Universe Chariot, Hell Suppression Codex, Heaven Supervisor Token, and Ancestral Devil Blood Disc had fallen into the hands of the Tao Defiance. At this moment, the Universe Chariot and Ancestral Devil Blood Disc had been taken back, so only the Hell Suppression Codex and Heaven Supervisor Token remained. He was just anxious about being unable to take back the Hell Suppression Codex and Heaven Supervisor Token, but he hadn't expected that the Tao Defiance would take the initiative to take out the Hell Suppression Codex and Heaven Supervisor Token. Moreover, the Tao Defiance intended to use the Hell Suppression Codex against him. The supreme divine might of the Violet Chi Dharma Spirit controlling the magic treasures rumbled and erupted from Su Fong's body. The suppressing prison codex shuddered. Under the divine aura of the purple cloud Dharma spirit, this heavenly law artifact couldn't help but submit. Under the control of the purple cloud Dharma spirit, the divine aura that shackled Su Fong also disappeared. Hell, suppression codex. Get back here. At the same time, Su Fong utilized the energy of the Order of the Heaven Tao to envelop the Hell Suppression Codex. The Hell Suppression Codex was a heaven law divine artifact, so it didn't have a spirit. Moreover, the energy of the Order of the Heaven Tao was required to control it. Even with the formidable strength of the Tao Defiance, the Tao Defiance had only barely been able to utilize a portion of the Hell Suppression Codex's might after spending 10,000 years. At this moment, the Tao Defiance immediately lost control of the Hell Suppression Codex under the might of the Violet Chi Dharma Spirit and the energy of the Order of the Heaven Tao. The Hell Suppression Codex trembled violently, and it actually intended to fly towards Su Fong. The Tao Defiance expression was indifferent, while a wisp of icy cold, killing intent flashed through his deep eyes. After that, he withdrew another magic treasure. Surprisingly, it was the Heaven Supervisor token. After the Heaven Supervisor token was activated, it emanated the divine might of the Order of the Heaven Tao, and it instantly restrained Su Fong, the Heaven Tao, and death energy in the surroundings. Shit. Su Fong immediately realized the Tao Defiance intentions, and his heart instantly sank. The Tao Defiance Master had actually used the Hell Suppression Codex as bait to lure Su Fong to fight for it and give up on fleeing. After that, the Defiance Masters of the Heaven Tao, the Heaven Supervisor token. In that way, Su Fong was unable to transcend the heavens and the earth of the Heaven Tao. Losing this ability meant that Su Fong had to go head-on against the Tao Defiance. Su Fong of the Tao, of the heaven, of the heavens, of the Tao, of the Defiance, of the Tao Defiance. As expected, he had been tricked. Su Fong operated the universe in his body without hesitation, and the power of the world of Yin and Yang gushed out of his body. However, under the divine might of the Heaven Supervisor token, Su Fong and the surrounding heaven and earth were suppressed and sealed by the supreme power of the heavenly Tao order, causing his body to seem to be imprisoned and unable to break free from the shackles. Su Fong, if you were to jump out of this world, this Alliance Master might not be able to do anything to you. Yet, you are so arrogant and conceited. You think that you can fight against me with your strength? No matter how heaven-defying you are, you will die in my hands today. The Master of the Tao Defiance roared complacently with laughter, while the shocking image of a divine sun falling surged within his eyes, and it swiftly condensed into a sharp green xianguang that shot out explosively. Chi! A green xianguang arrow shot towards Su Fong. When it was first formed, the green arrow was filled with a majestic aura of life. In the blink of an eye, the green arrow appeared in front of Su Fong. The arrow had already turned gray-white, and it emanated a terrifying aura of extermination. It contained shocking might that could shoot down divine suns. This arrow, the arrow of annihilation, divine suns falling. Before Su Fong entered the Yuan Tiangong, he fought the genius of the Yi clan, Il Woyang, and Il Woyang had executed this peerless divine ability of Yi clan. However, when compared to this arrow of the Master of the Tao Defiance, Il Woyang's arrow was like the glow of a firefly. On the other hand, this arrow of the Master of the Tao Defiance was like a divine sun in the sky, and it was more than 10,000 times stronger. The Master of the Tao Defiance had utilized this supreme divine ability to shoot down 9 divine suns all those years ago. Even though he hadn't been able to shoot down divine suns because of his own strength, and there were other reasons, the might of this arrow was something that even Transcendence had no choice but to fear. Su Fong was only a lesser overgod right now, so even if he possessed a portion of the strength of a Transcendent, he could only wait helplessly for death to arrive when facing an attack that the Master of the Tao Defiance was determined to kill. Su Fong had fallen into despair when he was enveloped by the aura of death. The Master of the Tao Defiance face was covered in a complacent and cruel cold smile. The human cultivators and the Tao Defiance who were in battle had stopped fighting. All the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance erupted with cheers, and even Su Fang's clone had roared with laughter. On the other hand, the human cultivators felt as if their entire bodies had been sealed in ice at this instant, and they instantly fell into despair. It was even to the extent that some felt completely disheartened. Once Su Fang perished, then the myriad of worlds would be unable to see any hope, and all their sacrifices and hard work would be in vain. Unexpectedly, an unexpected event suddenly occurred at this moment. Huff, an ethereal figure, suddenly appeared in front of Su Fang, and then he stretched out a finger and tapped lightly on the arrow that shot towards him. The figure seemed like it didn't exist in the heavens and the earth. Besides the Luo ancestor, Su Fang's clone, the master of the Tao Defiance, the supreme existences of the imperial people, the ancestral fiend ancestor, and Su Fang himself, no one else was able to see him at all. It wasn't that the figure didn't exist, it was that those whose cultivations were too low weren't qualified to see him. Moreover, regardless of whether it was the speed at which he appeared or the speed at which he attacked, both had surpassed the limits of time. It seemed like a casual tap of his finger, but as soon as he stretched it out, all the light, all the laws and energy in the heavens and the earth had converged onto the tip of his finger. It was like that finger had taken control of the entire universe. All the supreme experts who witnessed this scene were shocked when they sensed the energy contained within that tap of his finger. If that tap of his finger had landed on any one of them, including the Luo ancestor and his clone, they would have been instantly transformed into ash without the slightest ability to resist. QL-11, the master of the Tao Defiance arrow, seemed like it had collided with the supreme heaven Tao. Pooh! The arrow that the master of the Tao Defiance was determined to kill had been lightly tapped by that finger, and it was instantly transformed into ash without causing even a ripple. The master of the Tao Defiance eyes were filled with terror, and his entire body was trembling as he retreated with astonishment. He even couldn't be bothered to put away the Hell Suppression Codex and Heaven Supervisor token. Not to mention him, even a Transcendence Realm expert would be absolutely unable to endure a tap of such a terrifying existence's finger. The illusory figure gazed at his clone. You're an expert from the Jiuquan God domain. Why have you appeared in this universe? The clone instantly exclaimed involuntarily, while the divine radiance he emanated changed. After that, his body transformed into a ray of blood-red light that shot into space and vanished without a trace. He was actually terrified of that illusory figure to the extreme. That illusory figure turned around and glanced at Su Fang. It's him. Su Fang immediately recalled that gaze, and he felt that it was extremely familiar. He'd almost been swallowed by a giant called King Jean while he was wandering the world, but he'd been rescued by a lofty and aged voice. The eyes that appeared later on had a gaze that was exactly similar to the gaze of that illusory figure. Who exactly is he? He struck a strand of divine light into my divine sense, and he actually saved my life at a critical moment. He's merely a projection, yet he actually possesses such formidable strength. He's like a heavenly exalt and easily takes control of this universe. Su Fang was flabbergasted, and he gazed blankly at that illusory figure. I never expected that such an outcome would occur. The illusory figure nodded to Su Fang, and then it transformed into a ray of divine light that shot into Su Fang's body and vanished without a trace. Su Fang was unable to sense its existence. It's my Su Fang's supreme karmic luck that I was able to survive this time. Su Fang felt extremely fortunate in his heart, and then he calmed his mind and put away the Hell Suppression Codex and Heaven Supervisor token. He'd reclaimed all the magic treasures he'd lost in the 10 Darkness. Tao Defiance Alliance retreat. His clone appeared near the Blood Sun projections in the sky and issued an order to the experts of the Tao Defiance Alliance. After that, he opened his mouth and sucked in the remaining 4 Blood Sun projections into his mouth. His figure that had already become slightly blurry instantly solidified, and then he flew off into the sky. They lost. The Tao Defiance Alliance actually lost this time. They prepared meticulously for 10,000 years, and even the supreme evil god's clone descended, but they still lost in the end. Su Fong is the Tao Defiance Alliance's nemesis. The Tao Defiance, devils, and other formidable existences of the Tao Defiance Alliance were in disbelief when they heard the order of the clone. They couldn't believe that they'd actually lost this time, even though they were unwilling. Even the clone and the leader of the Tao Defiance Alliance had fled, so they would only be waiting to be slaughtered by the human emperors if they stayed behind. Thus, they retreated towards the other side of the two realms' river like a tide. Victory! Our human side has won a great victory. The supreme existences of the imperial people shouted loudly. The river of two realms and the sky beacon god realm fell silent for a moment before they erupted into cheers that shook heaven and earth. Emperor Haiyuan and Emperor Ku Xian, who were inside the sky beacon god realm, were in big trouble. They had originally planned to attack the sky curtain together with the Tao Defiance Alliance. But who would have thought that the sky curtain would have already been restored and the Tao Defiance Alliance would have returned empty-handed? Unfortunately, the two of them were trapped in the sky beacon god realm. Emperor Haiyuan saw that the situation was bad and fled into the void, disappearing without a trace. Emperor Ku Xian wasn't as lucky as Emperor Haiyuan. He was entangled by the heavily injured Xiao Wanting, Di Xuan, Yi Tianyang, Xuanxin, and Wang Tian. Is the sparrow bird value Pangxi? May fly under the guise of felt? Bad book chaser Bao Bao. Doctor? Su Fong. Patriarch Luo appeared before Su Fong. After the battle with his avatar, Patriarch Luo's appearance had changed drastically. His snow-white hair and beard had turned black, and his wrinkled face had become smooth and rosy. He looked 50 years younger. However, his aura was no longer as empty as before. It was obvious that he had expended a lot of energy. Patriarch Luo sized up Su Fong and nodded. Is the Heavenly Maiden with you? Let her out. Su Fong released Heavenly Maiden Luo from the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Girl, you're being stubborn again. You suffered a big loss in the 9 underworlds, right? You're getting more and more outrageous. Patriarch Luo snorted coldly. He waved his sleeve and swept out a wave of divine might. He was about to take Heavenly Maiden Luo away. Su Fong suddenly said, Patriarch Luo, wait. Patriarch Luo raised his eyebrows. What's the matter? Su Fong said solemnly. Are you the one who erased my memories and severed the karma between me and Heavenly Maiden Luo? Patriarch Luo nodded and said, That's right. So what? Su Fong said in a clanging voice, I, Su Fong, am in control of my own fate. No one can erase or tamper with it as they wish. I'm not as strong as you now, but one day I will find the memories you erased and reconnect the karma between me and Heavenly Maiden Luo. At that time, I will definitely ask you for an explanation. Is that so? I'll be waiting.